Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, right now is 8:01. So this is the time for us to have this webinar. Well, okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and
Waalaikumsalam
gentlemen.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Well, okay, I do hope that you are fine today. Well, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wa mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. The Honorable, the Dean of Faculty of Education, University of Jember, Professor Dr. Bambang Supono, MPD, and the Honorable, the Head of Language and Art Education Department, Bapak Dr. Anurafik, MA, MSc, and the Honorable, the Chairperson of English Education Study Program, Ibu Eka Wahyuningsih, SPD, MPD, and also the honorable three keynote invited speakers. The first one, Dr. Willy A. Renandia from Singapore. And also the second one, Dr. Mary Ann Hang from Singapore. And also the last but not the least, our professor from English Education Department, Professor Dr. Budi Satyono, MA. And also the distinguished guests and participants. Welcome to our international webinar series. And in this occasion, we would like to sit and witness the webinar entitled Academic Emotion and Resilience in English Language Teaching, how academic emotions and resilience affect students' teachers' performance. Well, okay, I am Rizky Febri. Today, I will be your master of ceremony. Let me read for the agenda today. The first one is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and continued by hymn of University of Jember. And then the second one will be the welcoming remark from the Dean of Faculty of Education. The third one, prayer, and the last one will be the plenary session. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to go to the first agenda. We would like to sing and listen the national anthem of Indonesia. Before we listen and witness the Indonesian anthem, I would like you to put your right hand to put in the left chest. Well, okay, thank you. For the next one will be the welcoming remark from the Dean of Faculty of Education, University of Jember, Professor Bambang Supana, MPD. Time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad to see you all here in good condition. And I hope this pandemic of COVID-19 disappear from our beloved country soon. The Honorable Head of Language and Art Education Department, ini saudara saya, Dr. Ainur Rafiq, MA, MSc. The Honorable Chairperson of English Education Student Program. And I hope this pandemic.
Hi Dad, what are you doing?
Oke, adik saya ini Ibu Eka Wahyuningsih, SPD MPD. And the Honorable and invited speaker, first one, Dr. Willy Sugeng Enjang, Pak Willy.
Sugeng, Pak. Sugeng.
Semoga sehat selalu. From Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and Dr. Mariana from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and my brother, Professor Dr. Budi Stiono from the distinguished guests and participants of our audience. Welcome to webinar series held by English Education Program. And today we will witness the webinar entitled Academic Resilience in English Language Teaching: How Academic Resilience Improve Student Teachers Performance. And we know today is a learning system online. Learning is the most valuable process in distributing knowledge and information from teachers, students. However, the big is because from of the laptop or mobile phone and ours. Therefore, we and students must how to build an I hope with fruitful information and knowledge from those three invited speakers. Okay, let me open this webinar officially. My saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. You and I will get back to MC, Mas Rizky.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Bambang Supano, MPD, as the Dean of Faculty of Education, University of Jember. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, so before we go to the plenary sessions, so let's pray to the God that we hope our webinar can go smoothly. And I will lead by using Islamic version. For those who have different religion, you may also use your own version. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Hamdan shakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yu'afihi wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalalikal karimi wa adimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. Rabbi sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhanaka rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to go to the first plenary session. It will be accompanied by my sister, Ibu Mutiara Bilkis. Bu Bilkis, time is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's very clear.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rizky.
Most
Hello,
welcome.
Morning. Morning. It's nice to have you here all again with us again for the umpteenth time. And it's really nice, like you are our signature speaker. Like everyone, whenever we are posting our poster, is it Pak Willy again? Is it Pak Willy again? And they are very excited. All right. So everyone, I'm going to be your moderator for today. So like usual, I'm going to read you the biodata of Pak Willy. Dr. Willy A. Renandia is a language teacher, educator with extensive teaching experience in Asia. He currently teaches applied linguistics courses at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. And he's a frequent plenary speaker at international ELT conferences and has published extensively in the area of second language education. His publications include Language Teaching Methodology, an anthology of current practice in 2002, published by Cambridge University Press, and Student-Centered Cooperative Learning, published by Springer International in 2019. And he also maintains a large language teacher professionals development forum called Teacher Voices. You can find him in Facebook, find the Teacher Voices in Facebook. If you want to reach him, for example, you want to invite him in future webinars of your university or your institute, you can contact him through willy.renandia@nie.edu.sg. And you can also visit this website in www.willyrenandia.com. Okay, I think that will be all of our introduction of our esteemed speaker, Pak Willy. Now, Pak Willy, as usual, you're going to have 45 minutes to present and 15 minutes for the question and answer later. Okay, Pak Willy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ibu Bilkis. Always good to be here. Always good to be among friends.
We always have fun with you.
Yes, and everyone is related somehow, either as brothers or sisters. That's what I like about Indonesia. Everyone is related in some way.
Brothers.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, just very briefly about my university. Nanyang Technological University, it is one of the LPDP approved universities. So if you are thinking of studying overseas in a good university, do consider coming to us in Singapore. All your expenses will be paid for by the government of Indonesia through LPDP. It's your money. Remember, it's not your government's money, it's your money. The money from your taxes and things. And I belong to the School of Education, Fakultas Pendidikan, and locally it's called the National Institute of Education. The word national means that this is the only teacher education faculty in Singapore, and we offer a wide range of courses in various areas of education, including Masters in Applied Linguistics and PhD in Applied Linguistics, and also EDD, Doctor in Education in English Language Education. Today, I'm going to share with you a very, very important, a very, very interesting topic, and I've decided to give the title of my presentation like this: Pathways to Academic Success. The presentation hopefully will be useful for students and also for teachers who will be, in a very good position to help our students to achieve more success in their studies, and also in the future in their future career or in their future life as a successful teacher or business person or whatever they are. Let me begin by showing you this big, two words. One is success, one is failure. We often think that these are two very, very different things. But it turns out, from my own experience and from research that I've seen, these are two sides of the same coin. They are brothers, they are sisters. You can't just have success without experiencing failure. And today, the most important takeaway from my presentation today and also from the other presentations, hopefully, is this, that every single one of us, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher, you can be successful. Yeah. So pesan utama, the most important takeaway today from my presentation is this, that every single one of you can be successful in your studies or in your life or in your profession as a teacher or as an educator. Let me begin then. The road to success often looks like the picture on the right-hand side there, not a straight line where you start and then you end at the final destination without experiencing any problems, without experiencing any detours, for example. So the journey can be a little bit bumpy and a bit long, and the road can be also winding. But despite the difficulties, despite the problems that we may encounter along the way, I think with commitment, with determination, with effort and resilience, we can be more successful. And along the way, you will find that failure that you will be experiencing, whether you like it or not, is success in progress. So look at failure, not something that you should avoid or you must avoid, but success is something that you'll have to experience in order for you to get to the final destination. But remember the word commitment, remember the word determination, remember the word effort, and finally also the word resilience. So that is more or less the overview of my presentation. And now I'm going to focus on four things, four major topics that I'll be sharing with you, the kind of things that will make you become a stronger person, the kind of things that will make you successful in your studies and also later in your life. So the question I have here for you is, are you a hero? And the word hero stands for four main ideas. Number one, the first H, the first letter H stands for hope. The second one is E, efficacy. The third one is resilience. And number four is optimism. They work together. Every one of you needs all four elements of what people have called psychological capital in order for you to be strong, in order for you to be more determined, in order for you to be more resilient and optimistic about your career goal or about the goal of your studies. Let me begin with the first one, hope. Let me begin with the first one, hope. Hope is about the future. Hope is about what you want to be able to do at the end of your journey. Hope is, in everyday language, it's called your purpose, your goal in your studies, your goal in life. Now, interestingly, the word goal, the future thing that you want to achieve, has two very, very important components. The first one is called willpower or motivation. The other one is called way power. So these are two very important ingredients that will help you to achieve success, to achieve your goal at the end of your journey. Let me begin with what willpower means. So the very first thing you need to do, your students and you as a teacher, is this. What are your goals? Are you very, very clear about the goals that you want to achieve? For S1 students, for undergraduate students who are training to become teachers, here are some examples of goals. Some are not very clear, but some are very clear. The first goal is not very clear: to get a good job after graduation. That's a good goal, but it's not very clear. And if a goal is not very clear, it's difficult for you to achieve. Something clearer will be to get a teaching job in a public school. That is clearer. But even more clearer is this: to get a good teaching job in a public university, in a public school, 6 months after graduation, or maybe 3 months after graduation. So what I have here are examples of how we can set our goals as clearly as possible, as specifically as possible. Here is another example of how an S1 students can set the goals for their studies. Number one, which is not very clear: to do well in my studies. That's not a very good goal. A goal that is clearer is to achieve a GPA of 3.8, for example, or 3.5, whatever that is clearer. But even clearer is this: to achieve C1 on CAFR upon graduation. That is your level of English language proficiency that you expect to be able to achieve at the end of your 4-year studies in Jember University, for example. Now, something that is even more clear than that, or clearer than that, is this. Yeah, the next step for you to do will be to break it up into smaller and more manageable sub-goals, if you like. In year 1, I think your goal is to be able to get to A2 or hopefully B1. In year number 2, you want to be able to get to B1, stable at B1, and then in year 3, B2, and in year 4, hopefully C1. Now, this is one important knowledge and skills that you need to be able to acquire after 4 years of studies in an English language education program. The graph on the right-hand side is CFR levels, which goes from basic A1, A2. The middle one, independent level, B1 and B2, and proficient level is C1 and C2. Many of our students, from what I hear from very experienced language educators in Indonesia, many of our students finish or graduate with a B1 level of proficiency. I don't think that is good enough for people who spend 4 years studying English language education in a university. I think they need minimally to reach B2, if possible C1. Now, this is the international standard, actually. If you go to Malaysia, the same thing. I think students or language students are required to be able to graduate with B2, if not C1 level of English language proficiency. So that will be an example of goals. The next thing, yes, having a goal is important, but what you need to do in order to achieve the goal is also extremely important. And this is where you need to consider, to think very carefully about two things: the willpower, motivation, and the way power. Yeah, let me begin with the willpower. Willpower is basically another word for motivation. The desire, the determination to reach your goal is often called motivation. And this guy on the right-hand side is a very well-known English language teaching scholar. His name is Zoltan Donye, and he has written a lot of books on motivation. Many books and many research articles on the issue of motivation. One thing that I remember from one of his books is this: learners with sufficient motivation can achieve a working knowledge of a second language. And that to me is very, very interesting. And that to me is very practical and very easy for us to remember. If you want your students to be successful in their English language learning in your schools or in your university, I think you need to get them to become a bit more motivated. And with sufficient motivation, they can reach at least a B1 level. And with additional effort from you, your teaching, your guidance, and things like that, I think your students will be able to reach an even higher level at B2 or even C1. So willpower or motivation is always goal-directed. So that's why I started earlier with a discussion about the goal. What is your goal? Are you very clear about your goal? Are you able to break up your goals into something that is more doable, smaller and doable sub-goals? Yeah. Another important thing that I've learned is this: motivation is not just about thinking. Motivation is about doing. The desire to do things is just things that you have in your head. The more important thing is what you do with it, whether or not you are willing to spend effort, to give, time, to set aside time, and to set aside, to put aside other things, whether you are committed, whether you are willing to do it on a daily basis. So motivation is about the desire to learn, but also about effort. Now, this is a theme that I will be developing later again and again. Effort, effort, and effort. And effort is the best indicator of your interest, your motivation, and your goal in your studies or in your career. What happens if you have no motivation? If that happens, I think you need to reassess your goal. Maybe the goal is not realistic. Yeah, you need to maybe change the goal a little bit and then adjust it later. Maybe you need to assess or reassess your priorities. This is about commitment as well. Yeah, if you feel that, playing or not doing your studies is a good thing to do, then I think you need to re-examine your priorities. Work and play, or play and work, or together? Work and play. The idea of delayed gratification becomes important here, and that is all about commitment. Yes, I need to work a little bit harder now so that I'm able to enjoy a better prospect of my life and my career. Or maybe you need to change your goal completely. After you've been trying for some time and you feel that English language learning is not for me, English language teaching is not for me, then what you need to do is to change your goal altogether. Stop studying and find a better, a more interesting area of studies in your life. Or sometimes you need to speak to your friends, or you need to speak to your teachers, ask for their opinions, ask for their guidance. What is important here is that motivation is very, very much related to the goal that you have. Yeah. If both are in place, then chances are your goal is very well defined, and your motivation should also continue to be high throughout your studies. The next thing, which is very important. Yes, my goal is very clear. Yes, my motivation is very high, but I've not been successful. Now, research and also experience tells us that willpower alone is not enough. Somebody may be very determined, but he or she may not know how to achieve the goals, may not know how to get to the final destination. In other words, willpower is about the ability to find ways, to find the most efficient ways to achieve your goals. And because of that, there's an expression that all of you are familiar with. When there is a will, there is a way. If you can't see the way, then it's your job to find that way. And that is what willpower is all about. And today, the willpower is available everywhere. You can go to Google, you can go to YouTube, and you can go to any other learning channels in order to find these ways that are most efficient, most effective for you. Again, I keep on saying that sometimes it's a matter of talking to somebody. seeking help and guidance from Ibu Eka, from Pak Bambang, Pak Budi, and many other people. Just a matter of consulting people. Yeah. And that seems to be, can be very successful. Now, here is an example of way power. A real example in the context of English language teaching. Some of your students may be saying, hey, my grammar is quite good, and I know quite a lot of words, but my speaking skills are still very poor. Yeah, so it's not about motivation, because the students seem to be motivated, and the students seem to know that they want to be able to speak well, to speak English very well. What to do? Again, this is a matter of way power, whether the students are able to find the most effective, efficient way of, developing speaking skills or communication skills. And one thing, one idea, one way that I have found to be very interesting, very effective is known as shadowing. Why is shadowing effective? If you look at the experience of people, polyglots, people who are able to speak 3, 4, 5 languages fluently, like this person, very fluent in many languages. And he said that one technique or one method that he has been using to learn a new language is shadowing. What is shadowing? Here, shadowing is a very simple, very easy thing to do. Now, some students may already know how to do it, but some other students may not be aware that this technique is so powerful and so helpful to improve on your listening, your pronunciation, and your ability to speak fluently and smoothly. This is what you do when you are doing shadowing. You listen to, a story or a speech once, try to understand what it is. If you don't understand, turn on the translation or the subtitles in Bahasa Indonesia or in Bahasa Inggris so that you understand. The next thing, listen again and speak along or read along. Now you have to do it many, many times. Again and again and again. And if you need to, you can look at the transcript first and then do the listening and look at the transcript again, do the listening again, do the shadowing again, and so on and so forth. After 1 year, students who do this usually report of a major improvement in their ability to use the English language for speaking and also for writing purposes. Now, these are some of the benefits which I'm going to share with you. They become more fluent listeners. Number 2, amazing speakers. Their grammar and vocabulary also improve a great deal. Their pronunciation also becomes much, much better. And that is the power of shadowing. So sometimes back in your school, when you find that your students are motivated, they have a very clear goal about their studies, but they are still struggling, maybe it's not because of their goal, maybe not because of their motivation, maybe it's because of the way power that is lacking. And it's your job as a teacher to give guidance, to find or to give tips to your students. That's the first one. H stands for hope. Yeah, hope is about having a very clear goal, and hope is about being motivated, having willpower to do it, and also having the way power to achieve your goal. The second one is E. E is about efficacy. This is a very, very important. In addition to hope, I think we all need to have this feeling or this belief in our ability to deal with different situations. Because along the way, when you try to achieve your goals, there will be problems, there will be obstacles, there will be difficulties along the way. And what you need to do is to gradually develop this belief and abilities that you will be able to deal with these situations that you encounter in your journey as a student or as a teacher. That is what efficacy is all about. The word efficacy is very much related to the word confident or confidence. Bahasa Indonesianya pede, percaya diri. Yeah, very important. But confidence can come in different forms. Some students may be overconfident, and that's not good. Overconfident is a false belief that you are able to do something when actually you do not have that ability. So overconfident is not a good thing. The middle one is good. You need to feel confident. You need to believe that you can do it, number one, and you need to also believe that you have the ability to do it. So these two things will have to go together. Some students you may find in your classroom, they have the ability and they have the belief, but they always feel that they are not good enough. So low confidence is also not a very good thing to have. What we need to do is to get the students to be confident, to be realistic about their belief, to be realistic about their abilities. Yep. So efficacy is another important dimension of how people can become more successful in their studies in their life. So from time to time, students, we need to check their confidence level. Low confidence or high confidence, but not overconfidence like the guy on the right-hand side, yeah? I think we need to calibrate our level of confidence regularly. And some students are not very successful, although they have the abilities, mainly because they don't have this feeling that they can do it, while in fact they can do it. Here's just an example of somebody who has a very strong belief that he can contribute to the well-being of a lot of people in the eastern part of Indonesia. And he also has the abilities and the way power to get a lot of people to help him along the way. He is the first person in the world that has this floating hospital. The name is Dr. Lee Darmawan. It's a very, very good example of how efficacy can lead to success in someone's life. The third one. So the first one is hope. The second one is efficacy. And the third one is resilience. Now, this is super important and very, very relevant in our discussion about success in our studies or success in our career. Resilience is basically about this. Yeah, it's about when the going gets tough, only the tough get going. In other words, resilience is about the feeling of not giving up, the feeling that I need to continue. Yes, the road may be bumpy, but I can always stand back up and continue with my journey. Yeah. Resilient people, I'm sure there are a lot of resilient people here in the audience. Ibu Eka is an example, Pak Bambang is an example, Pak Budi is an example. They are resilient people. Usually they are self-determined, self-motivated people. And they also believe that failure comes before success. Yeah, these two things are twins. They are twin brothers and also twin sisters. And when you fall, as Ibu Bilkis, when you fall, you stand back up. You keep bouncing back up. And resilient people also believe that effort is number one. If you do it again, if you try again, you will become successful eventually. Now, this is a good example of somebody who invented the light bulb, Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, yeah? Now, he tried many, many times, and he failed along the way. In fact, he failed like 10,000 times until eventually he invented the light bulb. Now, what he said is interesting. I have just found 10,000 ways that did not work. Isn't that interesting? Instead of saying, I fail again, I fail again, I fail again, he said, hey, I learned something along the way until eventually I'm able to get to my final goal of inventing the light bulb. Real life example. Now, this is a great example of somebody who is super, super tough and resilient. This guy was born without arms without limbs. No arms, no legs. That's what he looks like. And yet, he is one of the most inspiring motivator. He has given hundreds and thousands of motivational talks to students, to business people, to teachers, to everyone. And when you listen to him, I think you are likely to cry, because he is a living example of somebody who does not give up. He can swim, actually. Imagine that. And he can do many things that we are not able to do. He is married, beautiful wife, and 4 kids. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Just imagine how difficult it is for somebody like him to put on his shirt, for example, or to take a shower. Very simple things that we take for granted. But this guy is a great example of how resilience is the way to go. It's about effort. It's about perseverance, actually, in life. Now, here is another example. Now, this girl lost her arms, 2 arms. Both arms got amputated, but she is able to function not completely normally, but, in a way that is amazing. She put on her makeup using her feet, actually. There you go. And she could do a lot of things using her feet instead of using her hands. When she was featured on a talk show, there she is on the right-hand side. She smiled happily. It is the host who cried, actually, listening to her story, her struggle, her perseverance, her resilience in life. Now, in language learning, of course, it is very common. We see this every day, and our students experience this every day. We make mistakes all the time, every day, every single hour of our time. We make mistakes all the time. What we need to do is to tell our students that, hey, mistakes are proof that you are trying. Mistakes are proof that you are getting closer to your final destination. So do not punish your students when they're making mistakes, but instead you have to praise them. Hey, good, keep making mistakes. Make more mistakes, because mistakes or failure is a good thing. You are getting closer and closer to your goal. Again, this is something that often happens in the classroom. Students feel nervous, students feel, stressed, students feel embarrassed when they make mistakes, when they speak, when they make grammatical mistakes, when they are not able to express themselves clearly using the right words or appropriate vocabulary. What you need to do is to tell them, please go ahead and make mistakes. Feeling embarrassed is fine, is perfectly okay. Because this is what effective learners or successful learners of English do. They make lots of mistakes. They too feel embarrassed along the way, but it doesn't slow them down. Now, that's the key word. That's the key word. It doesn't slow them down. If anything, they become even more determined that, hey, if Boo Bilkis can do it, so can I. I should also be able to do it. They move on and make more mistakes, which is fine. Yeah. Now, here are some tips for teachers. Very simple idea. I think you need to be reminded, or you need to remind yourself that as a teacher, we have the tendency to overcorrect our students' mistakes. Please don't. Stop yourself from correcting your students' mistakes. Occasionally, that's okay. Once a day, that's okay. But if 10 times a day or 100 times a day, then I don't think you are doing a good job as a teacher. Just pay attention to mistakes that cause misunderstanding. Do not overcorrect on students' grammar. Grammar is important, yes, but it's not the most important. I think you should not waste a lot of time correcting your students' grammar. Instead, ask your students to do more shadowing. Ask the students to read more books and to watch more movies, for example. And that will help a lot more than you correcting their mistakes. Focus more on what the students can do. That is another important message for teachers. And that is how you build their confidence. Yes, they're not perfect. Their English is, is not wonderful yet. But if you focus more on what they are able to do, I think they will be able to build more confidence and to feel that, hey, I can do it. I can do better next time. And my teachers are there to help me, to walk together with me. Yeah, so please do not pay too much attention on what your students are not able to do, but focus on what they can do. Resilient students are also gritty. Now, this is one of the best books that I have read in the past 5 years. And the book is written or was written by this professor. The name is Angela Duckworth. If you don't want to read the book, I think you should watch her video, a video clip on TED. Only 5 minutes long. You have to watch it. Really, really wonderful presentation on YouTube. And the book is really, really amazing. It's about how success is possible for every single one of us, for every single one of our students, as long as they are gritty. What is gritty? Gritty students believe that effort is important. Gritty students believe that in order for you to develop a skill, any kind of skill, including English language skill, you need some talent plus effort. Now, talent here doesn't mean that you were born with a very special talent to learn, English or to learn mathematics or things like that. Talent here just refers to, well, you can see, you can read, you can move your hands, and you can listen. That is talent. Yeah. So with some effort, you'll be able to achieve or to acquire a skill. Now, if you want to become better, if you want to achieve a higher level of skill, for example, in the English language, then what you need to do is to spend more effort. There you go. So effort counts 2 times. And that is what gritty students do. Yeah, gritty is about putting in more effort. So later tonight, I want you to watch that video clip by this professor of psychology from one of the universities in the US. I think Pennsylvania University. The last one is O. So we've got H, hope, and then efficacy. The third one is resilience. And finally is optimism. The feeling that life will become better tomorrow. The feeling that the sun will shine again tomorrow. The feeling that, hey, life is beautiful. So that is the feeling of optimism. I'm going to show you this picture. Is the glass half full or half empty? Your answer, please. Half full or half empty?
Full.
Half full or half empty? It depends on your feeling. Whether you are an optimistic person, whether you are an optimist, or whether you are a pessimist. A pessimist person always look at the kekurangan, what you don't have. It's half empty. It's almost finished. The optimist will say, hey, my glass is half full. And if I put in a bit more water, my glass is going to be full. Yeah, so it depends on whether you are an optimist or a pessimist. The students, those of you in the audience, it's very, very important for you to be feeling optimistic about your future. Your future is very, very bright. Now, which one are you? The left-hand side or the right-hand side? Please say it. Left or right? Are you a pessimist?
The right one.
The right one. Yes, the left-hand side is, I don't want to fall in love because my heart will be broken because I am going to split up. I'm going to break up with her. I'm not going out tomorrow because it's going to rain. Yes, I'm not going to apply for that job because I'm going to be rejected. So that is a pessimist in you talking. The one on the right hand side is life is always, always beautiful. Look at this one. Are you somebody on the left hand side or on the right hand side? I hope all of you will say sometimes on the left hand side, but most often you should be on the right hand side. Yeah, it's actually is a choice. You can choose. So this is the wonderful thing about being a hero. Yeah, the O is about optimism and feeling optimistic about your life, about what you can do is a choice. You can choose. Your fate is not sealed. Remember that it's a choice. You can always look at the brighter side of things or the brighter side of life. So don't say, I can't. Please say, I can. Do not say impossible, but say, I am possible. That is being optimistic. Again, being optimistic alone is not enough. Remember what I said earlier about efficacy. Yeah. Feeling optimistic will have to be accompanied by your growing competence, your growing ability, your expanding knowledge about how to deal with the difficulties in life. And finally, this is another extremely important thing that I've learned from psychology. There's this lady, a professor in psychology teaching at Harvard University, if I am not mistaken. She has done a lot of research, spent more than 30 years researching people. And she learned that there are two types of people. One group of people have fixed mindset about things. Look at the right-hand side. Now, these are people who keep on saying, I can't do this. This will not work for me. This work is good enough. I have to stay there because if I try again, I'm going to fail. And if I fail, I will feel embarrassed. Well, this is too hard for me. So these are people with a fixed mindset. The left-hand side is what I would like us to think about. The message is very clear that every single one of us can continue to grow, to become better than we were yesterday, than we were last year. And people who have the growth mindset will say things like, I can try again using a different strategy. Is this really my best work? Can I do better than that? This may take some time and effort, but that is what I have. I have got the time and I've got the effort. So which one are you? Fixed or growth mindset? Or somewhere in the middle? Neither here nor there. I think when I was younger, I tended to have a fixed mindset. I, came from a, not a very educated family background. My parents were not educated. And I used to think that, well, what can I expect from me? But later in life, I learned that every single one of us can grow forever, basically, until the time, until the end of the world. So keep trying until you become a better person. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back now to the key points of my presentation today. Hanya ada 4. There are 4 things that I want to share with you, and these 4 things can help you become more successful in your life. So keep asking, are you a hero? Do you have hope? Is your hope very clear? Are you able to define, to clarify, to articulate your goals clearly? Do you have the willpower to achieve your goal? And do you have the way power to achieve your goal? And that is what hope is all about. Hope is not about dreaming. Hope is about doing. Yeah. Because if your hope is just like a dream, then you're a dreamer, not a doer. Number 2, efficacy. Do you believe that you have the ability to achieve it? If not, keep learning, keep improving on your abilities so that you become more confident in whatever you're doing in your life. Number 3, very important, is resilience. This is the key to success. Failure comes before success. If you only try again and try harder, and sometimes with the support and guidance from your teachers and from your parents and from the people around you. And finally, it's always a good thing for you to stay optimistic, to remain positive. Life is beautiful. And I'm going to leave you now with this little hero of mine. I hope it plays very well. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Let me see if I can turn on the sound for you. My little hero. Okay, no sound is okay. Look at her now. That is my little hero. Please clap for her for me. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you, Ibu Bilkis.
Thank you very much. That's really inspiring. That girl with such small bodies, and she has lots of spirit to struggle to reach her goals, right? And we have to definitely be like her in what the goals that we want to achieve. Thank you very much for all the inspiring presentation, Pak Willy. And I really like the hero concept that you are presenting. It's really easy.
Yes, I remember. That's why Ibu, my good friend Ibu Rusiana, is here with you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Willy.
Morning. Yes, next question, please.
All right, next question is from our student, Mr. Willy Dicky. Mr. Willy, I have a question. If we already know and try all the things you have shared to us, but the conditions doesn't seem to be in our side and things going downside, what should we do? Thank you so much. It's really struggling right now, sir.
Yeah, I think this guy is very pessimistic. I think you need to tell yourself that life is beautiful, that tomorrow is going to be brighter than today. There's nothing else you can do. Yeah, be more optimistic and don't forget to put in more effort. Remember, effort counts 2 times. If you have spent a lot of effort and you're still not successful, I think what you need to do is to speak to somebody who is more successful, to speak to Ibu Bilkis, to consult Ibu Eka, to consult Pak Bambang and Pak Budi and things like that, and ask them for guidance and advice. That's what you need to do. We are not alone in this world. There are people out there who are more successful than us. Our friends, our parents, our neighbors, our teachers, and business people, many other people in our life, which can be, a great source of inspiration for us. Remember what I said earlier about growth mindset and fixed mindset. Now, one thing very interesting that the professor from psychology professor found is this: people with fixed mindset tend to be envious of people who are successful. If you see people, your friends are more successful than you, you become very unhappy. You become envious. You think that why these people are more successful than me. But people with a growth mindset have different attitudes altogether. They will come to you, the most successful people, they will consult them, they will ask them questions, they will check with them to tell her or to tell you the secrets of their success. They will say, what can I learn from you? Can I see you do things in your lesson, in your classroom? Very different, yeah? Again, we need to change our mindset. Is it easy to change our mindset? Not very easy, but I'm sure you can do it. It's going to take time, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. But feel positive, about your ability to grow and to continue to grow. If you are 50 years old, that's nothing. If you are 60 years old, that's not, that's not a lot of years. I think you can continue to grow until the time, I don't know when that time is going to be. In my case, I continue to grow, although I am 50 years old, but I continue to grow. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That's really inspiring, sir. Like when I'm watching you and I'm listening to you, it's like bringing back the spirits that perhaps have gone for a long time. Like, okay, I need to set a clear goal and be resilient, be optimistic. All right, now we have two more questions for you. The third one is from Ibu Meli Fauzia. Mr. Willie, do you think are there any impacts of students' background to their efficacy and motivation in learning English?
The answer is yes. Yes, this is an ongoing debate about nature and nurture. Yes, nurture is the environment. If you grow up in an environment that is not very, nourishing, I think you may find that learning becomes a bit more challenging. Learning becomes more difficult. I think that is very true. If you look at the research on the relationship between social economic status and achievement, academic achievement, you will see that people or students who come from the higher economic status tend to be more successful. Yeah, so that is true, but it doesn't mean that people who come from lower economic status will not be able to be successful. I think, again, research tells us what you need is you have to multiply, you have to double your effort, you have to triple your effort. You have to have this positive feeling that, yes, I think you can do it too. I remember when I was a student, studying English, in a university in an IKIP in Yogyakarta. Some of my friends really came from, very humble backgrounds. Parents were farmers, and the person, some of them would have to commute from another small city to Yogyakarta almost every day on bicycle. But he eventually became a very successful language teacher educator. He was able to get a good job as a teacher, and then he continued studying until he got his PhD, and he ended up teaching in a university in Jakarta. And that shows that, yes, social economic status can have an influence, but I think you can overcome it. So do not keep saying that I am from a small town in East Java. I'm from Jember. Ibu Eka, give me another place in East Java that is smaller, much smaller than Jember.
Lumajang is smaller.
Right?
My hometown, Lumajang, is smaller.
Lumajang, yes, yes. Don't say that I'm from Lumajang. What do you expect from me? Please stop saying that, because it doesn't really matter where you come from. What is important is whether you see yourself as a hero, whether you have hope, motivation, aspiration, whether you have the way power and the willpower, and whether you are somebody who is willing to work hard and be rewarded for it. I think that is what counts. Remember what I said earlier on my first slide. My first slide says every single one of us can become more successful in our life. And that is the message that I want to get across. Whether you are a student, whether you're a teacher, whether you are a school principal, whether you are a dean, ketua jurusan, or whatever, I think you can become more successful. You can be the best that you can be.
No, thank you, Mr. Willie.
Thank you, Ibu. Ibu Mary, are you from Lumajang?
No, I'm from Bandung.
You're from Bandung. Bandung is a big city.
Yeah, so crowded.
Yes, yes. Reminds me of somebody from Garut. Garut is a small town in West Java. And there was somebody from there, from that small town, who became very successful. He became an English language teacher and then a docent at UPI. And then he was vice minister at some point in his life. And his name is Professor Fuad Abdul Hamid.
Hi.
Effort, perseverance. Is he the most clever or the most intelligent person in the world? I don't think so, because intelligence is not the most important thing. It's effort, it's perseverance, it's resilience that is important.
Our duty to encourage our students to have high motivation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, Ibu Bilkis.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Meli and Pak Willy, for the questions and the answer. Now, the last question, sir, from Bapak Amin Wibowo. Do you have any tips for teachers so that they will not do overcorrecting their students? Then how do they, what they can do to make the students realize their errors?
Yes.
Errors.
Yes. Now, this is something that almost all teachers experience in their job as a teacher. They tend to correct mistakes. They often see their job as somebody who should correct mistakes. I think the first thing we need to do is to change your mindset. Your job as a teacher is not just to correct mistakes. Your job as a teacher is to help the students to understand, to know, to realize that they are still making mistakes, and to keep telling them that mistakes are fine. And your job as a teacher is also not just to focus on the mistakes, but also to focus on what your students are already able to do. Focus on that and keep on encouraging your students to do even better the next day. Yeah, so it comes back to us, mindset. We have to change our mindset. You have to believe that every single one of our students can become more successful in their studies. Let me just end by sharing with you one great example, one piece of research studies that was done many years ago. It's called the Pygmalion effect. The Pygmalion effect basically means that if you believe that your students are good, if you believe that your students are intelligent, so it's about your belief, yeah? Then you will be behaving, you will be teaching them, hoping that they will become more successful. If you believe that your students are not good, if you believe that your students are not going to be very successful, and then the consequence is that you will also be doing things that will actually hinder and prevent them from making progress. It's called self-fulfilling prophecy, or often known as the Pygmalion effect. So later today, you can look it up. It's available, it's on Google, it's everywhere. And the study was done many, many years ago. The self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe will actually get translated into actions. And these actions will just, confirm your belief. Although your students may not be the most intelligent students in the world, but if you believe that they are really intelligent, that they can be successful, I think you will also be doing the same thing along the way. And surprise, surprise, your students will become more successful. So change your mindset.
So is it what you are what you think you are?
Yes. And yes, our students are what we think they are. And that is true too. Yes. If you think of them as being bright, intelligent, motivated, resilient, I think you will also do things in the classroom according to your belief. And that is a very, very powerful way of engaging your students in the classroom. So just keep remembering that every single one of us, every single one of our students deserves the opportunity to experience success in their life. Of course, everyone will be successful in different ways, but they can be successful. So that is the message from me to you.
A very beautiful message indeed. Yeah, I hope that we can let your message sit in our brain so that our subconscious mind will be able to make an implement it in our daily life and in our daily teaching. All right, we still have 3 more minutes, so I do have one question for you, sir. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
So in your last slide, you mentioned about people with fixed brain, right? And those people have this kind of, this work is good enough, right? So is the opposite of it what do you call that one? Perfectionism. So is perfectionism actually good or bad?
Good question. Yes. Do we have to be perfect? The answer is no. I don't think we need to be perfect. Perfect means it's flawless. Perfect means, it's the best thing in the world. I don't think that is possible. But the growth mindset actually says that you can become better if you try harder. That is what the growth mindset is all about. You can become better. You can become a better person. You can become a better student. You can perform better in your speaking, lesson. You can perform better in the reading lesson. You can do better in your IELTS test and things like that. But perfect? Probably not, no. Because you will end up feeling frustrated if you try to seek perfection in your life. Remember this thing related to the growth mindset, that learning is forever. Learning is ongoing. We keep learning. We continue to grow by learning. What sort of learning do we need to do? It's called life deep learning. You can specialize in one area and become better at it. Or life-wide learning. We can expand. We can learn from other people. Maybe things that are beyond our immediate interest or discipline. Life-wide, but finally, the most important is life-wise. As we grow older, we want to become wiser. Not the most intelligent person in the world, not the most perfect person in the world, but becomes wiser. I think that is the ultimate goal of lifelong learning, to become a better person, basically. Thank you for your question.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the wisdom, sir. I think this is really different from the usual webinars that we all have, right? In the previous sessions, because this brings insights in different ways. Like we are not discussing only mainly on the teaching of English, but we are discussing about being successful in general in our life, and that's great. And perfectionism, I do agree with you. Perfectionism sometimes can cause you to feel anxious, right?
Absolutely.
Hinder your success because you're running for, you seek for something impossible to do, right? So the key difference is actually become better, not become perfect.
Yes, better than you were yesterday.
Better than you were yesterday.
Yes.
Got it.
Doesn't have to be better than other people. No.
Yeah. Okay.
But that is the bonus. Yeah.
Yes.
So better than other people is a bonus, but that should not be your goal. You should become better than you were yesterday, than you were last week, than you were the year before, so that your measure of success is your past, your past achievement, whether you are able to get better than before. I think that is very important. Otherwise you'll be chasing something that is not possible. How can you become somebody like Bu Eka? Because you are not Bu Eka. So why don't you become yourself and become better because you want to be a better person? I think that is what is important in life.
Yes. Okay, that's really beautiful, so that we do not get stressful by all of
absolutely.
Goals, right? Okay, thank you very much for everyone who has joined the discussion. Pak Willy, thank you very much for all this wonderful 1 hour, which gives us lots of insights. Thank you, Bro Ami, for the thumbs up, because this is really inspiring and this really brings us lots of lights for our life and our teaching and learning for our students in the future. Thank you. Then we are going to end this session, the first session, and we are coming back to Pak Rizky. Pak Rizky.
Well, okay, thank you so much,
Thank
my
you.
sister, to accompany Pak
Yay.
Willy, and also for Dr. Willy. Thank you so much for the inspiring presentation. Well, before I lead to the second invited speaker, I would like to ask Pak Willy for the very last questions. Based on your experience becoming a hero, who is the most difficult villain in your life?
Who is the most
difficult villain? Because in Avenger, the most difficult villain is Thanos, okay? Thanos.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Villain, because I love watching Avenger,
yes.
so
I see. Okay.
I just villain. I'm so sorry.
Okay, who is the bad guy, basically, right?
Yes.
Who's the bad guy in your life? Well, interestingly, it's not other people. It's not our parents. It's not our friends. It's us. We are our most important and our most difficult obstacle.
Okay.
We are not successful because we don't want to be successful. We feel that we are not good enough. We feel that we don't have the knowledge to do it. We feel that we don't have the what it takes to be successful. It's us, basically. I am in my way to the journey to a more successful life. At the moment you are able to change your mindset, and that's why these people, these psychologists, they spend years and years trying to understand the way we think, the way we feel, what is in our head, what is in our heart. I think that is the most important thing that we need to deal with. Don't look at other people.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So the main point is we must believe in ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for the first invited speaker. Well, for the second invited speaker will be Professor Dr. Budi.
I think I forgot one thing.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is that right?
I'm so sorry, ladies and
sorry.
gentlemen.
Because I'm so excited, sir. To the point, I forgot.
We'll share.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to share it.
All right. Okay. So there will be a special token of appreciation for you.
Please wait a moment. It's still on process. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So thank you very much. Congratulations, everyone. Could you please join me to give Pak Willy a big applause? Thank you very much. We are really honored to have you again with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's very inspiring, right? A very great session. All right. Thank you. Now I'm giving it back to you, Pak Rizky.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bu Bilkis.
You're most welcome.
Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, and for the second invited speaker, he is Professor Dr. Budi Setyono, MA, and he will be accompanied by our beloved mother, Ibu Eka Wayuningsih, SPD MPD. For Bu Eka, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Kak Rizky. Thank you, Pak Willy. And I'm still in the phase of that. I have to change my mind.
Yes.
And
we are a big family too, man.
Because I still have the feeling that I'm not the right person for doing everything. Okay, so I have to change my mind, and I hope that I can be in the process of doing such a thing. Thank you very much, Pak Willy, for your inspiring presentation. Now, Bapak Ibu, we come to the second session with Professor Dr. Budi Setyono. Pak Budi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, Baika. Thank you.
Okay. Before having his presentation, Bapak Ibu, let me read his curriculum vitae. So we are going to be with Professor Dr. Budi Setyono, MA, and he got his S1 degree from Jember University from Faculty of Letters, and his master degree from the Ohio State University on educational theory and practice, and his doctoral degree from Universitas Negeri Malang. And I think there are so many articles written by Pak Budi. I'm going to read some of them only. The latest one is, this one. Exploring Pre-Service English Teachers' Critical Reflection on Their Teaching Practicum Experience. And it is published in the Journal of Asia TEFL, that is the Q1 journal. So without further ado, Pak Budi, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Eka, for the time given to me. Thank you very much, Pak Willy, for a very nice presentation. And we enjoy listening to your presentation, and we got a lot from you. We can learn a lot from you. I think you are my teacher. Yeah. And last, I joined your presentation while the TEFLIN seminar in Bali. I joined you, and yes, I always enjoyed your presentation. Oke, Bapak Ibu peserta webinar. Yeah. Good morning and healthy greeting from Jember. And it is nice to see you here. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. Yeah. And hopefully you could stay a bit longer. Yeah, till the end of this webinar. Yeah. Pak Willy is Pak Willy, Pak Budi is Pak Budi. That is the message that I got from Pak Willy. And I like the message that is to be the resilient teacher. That is what I impress. That is what I do. Yeah, that is what the experience that I always fight in my journey to be to have my best career. Bapak Ibu, let me share screen first. Yeah, before we go on what is discussing on the next topics. And my topic here is really about the academic emotions. Yeah, and I'll focus on the practical matters that I gain the materials and also the data from our students, really, from the open talk activities. Yeah, that is the context of online learning and the context of undergraduate thesis supervision. Okay, let me share screen first. Okay, Bapak Ibu, this is my paper that I would like to share with you, entitled Managing Student Teachers' Academic Emotions, the cases of online learning and thesis supervision during COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, as I said before, that during the COVID-19 pandemic, our students and also our lecturers here at the English department also experience the academic emotion. So both of us really experience the academic emotion. Then COVID-19 pandemic certainly will be what is the background of my paper here, because of COVID-19, because of the online learning services, online thesis supervision, then it may create the different academic emotion upon the student teachers and also lecturers at my English department. Okay, let's see the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia. Yeah, we know that since March 2020, approximately 70 months to the present time, Indonesia has entered the era of COVID-19 pandemic. Since then, it was noted that the daily cases of the Indonesian people infected coronavirus tend to fluctuate, goes up and down, until the period of July to August 2021 was noted as the highest rate of coronavirus. You can see from statistics that daily cases of the Indonesian people infected coronavirus increased dramatically, from about 30,000 up to 56,000 cases. Thank God, Alhamdulillah, up to the present time, however, the trend has a tendency to decrease significantly. You can see from the daily cases from our statistics here that in the month of July to August, it was the highest peak for the coronavirus. And of course, we're gonna do activities out of our house, out of our home. And in the month of September, we call it the September Ceria, and it decreases very significantly. And then, hopefully that at the end of this month or next month, we will be able to work outdoor for outdoor activities. And I think that is our expectation for the coronavirus pandemic in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, because of coronavirus, the spread of coronavirus, and then our government, that is the Indonesian government, have taken some policies, for especially in the area of education and also out of education. To stay safe, I think, the government requires the people or the Indonesian people to stay at home, except for what is a very urgent activities, and then consequently, we also have to work from home. I think we work from home for almost 17 months, since the beginning of coronavirus in March up to the present time. And Pak Bambang and Bu Eka, I think, have given us the sign that it's okay for us to have what is the activities in a hotel, however, with a very strict, what is standard protocol standard. And then we start working from home, and then we also have to stay clean. We have to stay clean by washing our hands, using hand sanitizers, and also other kinds of soaps that make us sterilized from the virus. And then, wherever we go, we have to protect ourselves, with masks, that it can be standard mask or it can be tailor-made mask. And I think this is the very important one, because many people, many Indonesian people sometimes neglect about the use of masks in our daily life. And then the next policy, that is video conference. As we know that online teaching and learning, and then online teaching, online what is thesis supervision, and many other activities are conducted through what is a video conference, like webinar and many other what is meetings at my faculty also what is conducted through video conference. And then the last thing that the government requires us is to do online shopping. I think it's very famous for ibu-ibu and also for students that they have to do online shopping through Tokopedia, and then through Shopee, and many other things. That is the interesting one. So that is the Indonesian government policies. And then another policy that is currently launched by our government is that we call PPKM, that is pemberlakuan pembatasan kegiatan masyarakat, or the restriction of people's mobility, especially for Java and Bali. And the government thinks that it is still going on, and it is extended up to the 13th of September. Hopefully it will be the end of our PPKM. Bapak Ibu, because of the government policies and because of the regulations, and then at our Faculty of Education at my university, and then we have to follow the government policies by conducting online teaching and learning, and then by conducting online teaching practicum. And then we also have to conduct online proposal seminar and online thesis supervision. That is, these are among the activities that we have to conduct in the era of online COVID pandemic. Yeah, so it becomes the new habits of doing things. Yeah, the new habits of teaching, and then doing proposal seminar, yeah, online teaching practicum, and online thesis supervision. Yeah, from these new habits, there are more problems that we could identify. Yeah, there are more problems that we could identify because really we are not ready for for the new habits of teaching, the new habits of working. Yeah, for example, in online teaching and learning, we are not used to with using LMS, learning management system. We are not used to giving correction or feedback to our students through online and many other things. And one of the new one is that during the online teaching practicum here, students have to find the schools that have to be placed as the place for their teaching practicum. So they have to find the new one in this area, and then our faculty has just given a recommendation to do online teaching in the place where students have found. And then online proposal seminar, this is also one of the big problems, especially at the beginning, because we are not used to use the tools such as using Zoom meetings, using Google Meet and many others. Yeah. At that time, we ask students to record, record their presentation, and then they have to send the links to us. Yeah. That is the history of our online proposal seminar. And then online thesis supervision is also the new habits that we can do, because before pandemic, we usually meet with our students face to face, and then the student have to go to campus, and then we give feedback to our students. However, now during the pandemic, we have to open the online thesis supervision. So we have to give feedback through WhatsApp group, and we have to give feedback through other means, for example, through email, and many others. And this is the new habits, and there are usually problems that will make our student experience up and down, especially for their emotional states. It is the impacts of new habits. As a consequence of the new habits of doing things, that is the online teaching and learning, and then online teaching practicum, supervision, thesis supervision, and proposal seminar. Student teachers experience different degrees of academic emotion. And the Kroon define academic emotion as emotion that directly linked to academic learning, classroom instruction, and achievement. This is what I read from the journal article. Students may experience a wheel of academic emotions. That is theoretically based. That is from the enjoyment, relaxation, and then anger and boredom. And it depends on the student reaction, really, whether they will react positively or negatively upon the online services that are given by lecturers at my English department. For the positive one, students may experience enjoyment, such as they feel good, they feel surprised, focused, and amused, and also they feel satisfied, calm, and relaxed. But if students are not able to adjust with the new habits of working, the new habits of learning, then they may experience such kinds of angry, a lot angry, or maybe a bit scared, a bit anxious, yeah, and a bit embarrassed. And also another negative emotion, the students may feel stressed, yeah, and then sad, disdainful, disgusted, and guilty. So it depends on the reactions, depend on the students' ability to react to the online services. Yeah, that perhaps the students who are feeling optimistic, yeah, they like challenges, and then they tend to have more positive academic emotion. However, when students feel pessimistic and there are too many complaints, yeah, then perhaps the students will experience a more negative emotion. Yeah, this is the taxonomy of emotion, academic emotions. When we activate, we will get the enjoyment, on positive one, and then if we refer to the outcome focus, and then we will feel good, surprised, focus, and amused. Yeah. And when this deactivating, we will feel relaxation, and then we will get satisfied, calm, and relaxed. It is the opposite one. Yeah. So I think it's almost the same as the wheel of emotion, academic emotions. And on the right side, the positive or the pleasant emotion, and on the left side is the negative or unpleasant emotion. Yeah, this is impacts of COVID pandemic empirical base. That is from previous studies. We can get more information concerning the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. So aside from the physical health issues, such as eye irritation, for example, and then we have headaches because of too many contact with contact with the screens, yeah. And then the pandemic also has posed mental, emotional, and social challenges. Yeah, of course, too long, to work from home, and then we also face the screens, and then it will affect the student social and also emotional challenges. Then the negative academic emotions students mostly discovered are anxiety, and then depression, tiredness, stress, and overwhelm. It is from Chemical, Zunica et al. In 2021. Then, as reported by Chow et al. 2020, some college students experience anxiety and stresses due to economic pressures, effects on everyday life, and academic delays. Yeah, concerning with the academic delays, we know that not all students will be capable of working effectively and efficiently, even though we are trying to give the better services to our students. Maybe they have got learning loss, what is in the process of understanding material from online services. And also some students perhaps cannot hold the seminar on time, cannot graduate from the faculty in the time as they expect. Yeah. Regardless of academic level, all categories of students reported low energy levels and found the lockdown situation to be unpleasant. Yeah, I think the same thing that we experience, that we think that lockdown situation will be unpleasant, and it is harmful for us, especially for going outside for meeting with our friends, our students, and our colleagues. Then, because of their self-efficacy, really explained to us, self-efficacy, motivated students experience positive emotion. So the optimistic students, students who feel that pandemic is kind of challenges, then they may experience the positive emotion. The transformation of negative emotion into positive ones impacts on learners' motivation and engagement, self-regulation, and academic achievement. Of course, when students are able to change the the conditions or bad conditions into the opportunities and the challenges, then it will also affect their academic academic achievement. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the next is the problems that we identify concerning our online services during the COVID-19 pandemic. The teachers should, during COVID-19 pandemic, we believe that, and we are trying hard that student teachers should receive good online services. However, in reference to their voices, we collected from notes of open talk activity and collection of WhatsApp chats. The representation of students felt unsatisfactory with the online services during COVID-19 pandemic. The next, I already try to categorize students' emotion and students' problems with our online services. These are the list are the student voices. So student teachers experience more negative or emotion because during online classes, some, not all, some of lecturers, for example, do not have sense of humor. It is the student voice. And then like variations, and then do not prepare their teaching well, give disorganized explanation, could not manage time wisely, let harmful noises during online listening class, give class via WhatsApp group only, and then leave Zoom meeting earlier, provide no guidance for the assignment. Then the other important points here, usually we think that online classes, is equal with giving assignments to our students, and students feel that giving excessive assignment is not what is good for them, and they think that it can influence their emotion, and then give unplanned assignment, give no extra time for the tutor, and give feedback without enough prompts, for example, and gives short feedback with okay, yes or no, and then they also do not provide required and optional learning resources, and then send Zoom links at night, give no announcement if no class, change schedule to evening class on Saturday, never check student real attendance, and click attendance only. So the three categories, the four categories of student voices here are related to, this is the way we give a class to our students. And then these are related to assignments that we give to our students. And then these are related to the way we change the schedule to our students. And the last one is this related to the way when we in online attendance. So there are four groups of student voice that we can collect during the online. This is the online learning and teaching. Then how do we have to manage student teachers' academic emotion? And respond to the student teachers' criticism and expectations. We as the lecturers really have to become more disciplined by entering Zoom meeting on time, and then add sense of humor to entertain students in learning. Provide more variations of resources, methods, and media, and then set tasks as needed with clear instruction and time frame, and then avoid giving excessive tasks, refer to syllabus and the scopes of the course contents, give clear and meaningful feedback to students' work. So these are the expectations of our students, and then we are trying to realize it, and then we are trying to change our ways of giving service to our students. Then, in addition, the lecturers need also to give the external motivation to our students, by encouraging them to face the reality of quick changes, Yeah, so it is impossible that students still do not change their mind. Yeah. What is in the era of technology, in the era of what is different kinds of work. Yeah, so the student need to leave the old way of working. Then we need to ensure that students working under pressure, yeah, with due date and clear target is the real challenges in both academic and real life situation. Yeah, I think that students need to know, yeah, students need to learn about it, because yeah, without the clear target, without working hard, yeah, then it is impossible for them to be able to reach success. Then asking students to make quick adjustment with the new habits of working and doing things in the new normal era. Yeah. And suggesting students to manage their time wisely. That is, for example, by writing daily agenda. Yeah. Yeah, we often find that students cannot manage the time wisely. Yeah. Because they do not make a kind of schedules that have to be worked every day, and then they need to spend their time to give the priority for the assignment and many others. Then how to manage student teachers academic emotion. Yeah, internally students have to motivate themselves by making quick adjustment, and then that is the second one, I think the important one, turning difficulties or threats into opportunities to be achieved. So if they think that COVID-19 pandemic's activities will make them stressful, yeah, will make them feel unhappy, and then they must be capable of changing such kind of situation into opportunities and challenges. Then realizing that without disciplines, industriousness, adaptability, and hard work, yeah, they cannot reach that big dream. Yeah, I think this is, I take these ideas from the Asian students, really. They are successful because of their disciplines, their industriousness, adaptability, and hard work. And learning a success story from of other successful figures or leaders, yeah, as Pak Willy told us, yeah, that nobody's, I think, cannot achieve a success without having some difficulties. Yeah. The road is not straight, but there are so many bad roads that we have to go through. So learning a success story of successful figures or leaders will be can motivate students to internally to be successful learners. Then the next thing is doing critical self-reflection on their academic experiences. Yeah. Yeah, someone is good, or we will be wise if we are able to reflect, yeah, to our experiences. Yeah, yeah. What is the length of our experience to be teachers, to be lecturers? Will be meaningless if we never do critical reflection. Then the next is becoming independent learners who know what to do. As we know that, yeah, online learning, yes, online learning, yeah, students work more independently compared with the face-to-face activities. Therefore, yeah, we suggest that students will become more independent learners. Then they have to overcome problems by not blaming others. Yeah. For example, the lecturers give too many assignments. Yeah. The lecturers give many correction to my assignments. Yeah. So don't try to blame others, but try to face the challenges given by the lecturers. And then we also recommend students to finding support group and mentors to reach a success. Yeah, because if we are working alone, sometimes the burdens of our life become more and more, but we can find the support groups and mentors, and then we feel that our burdens will be lighter, and we will also achieve a success. yeah, as my experience is that to achieve a professorship is a difficult one, and are required to write in reputable journals, and I didn't have any experience at all about writing in reputable journal articles. And then I have to find the mentor, and then I have to work hard, what is as suggested by my mentor, and at the end I can publish my articles in the reputable international journals. Yeah, it is about the online thesis supervision. This is my student voice. Yeah. First of all, in relation to thesis supervision, what is complained by our students is that the lecturers or the supervisors never answer student chats. Yeah, so this one is what is a lot of students think that answering student chat will be the most important one. And then the next complaint, next voice from our student is, my supervisors do not give regular feedback as agreed on, because really we want to each supervisors give feedback maximally 2 weeks from what is the sending of a draft of students, and then give more correction on language than contents. Usually supervisors or some supervisors on the eyes of students give only correction on the language, then I never supervise them via Zoom meeting. That is also the complaint of students. And then could not give quick schedule for this examination. That is also the area of complaint. Because of our activities, more activities, then we neglect to give a quick schedule for the thesis exam. And then we also rarely ask their progress. For example, when students didn't send their draft for long of time, and then we rarely ask about that progress. And then for just additional references, we know that students commonly have difficulties in finding a good references. Then they need support from supervisors. And then how do we have to manage student academic emotion because of online thesis supervision? First, externally, supervisors may ask students to make time frame and work based on the time frame. So if the department requires students to finish their study, to finish their writing of thesis within a year, and then the student must be capable of divide it into semester 1, for example, is for writing the proposal, and then the second semester will be used for getting the data and writing the report. And then the next hold video conference, this via Zoom meeting with our supervisors every 2 weeks or weekly, and then give regular feedback to its student manuscript, ask students to revise based on the schedule, spot students with good references, and ask them to proofread the manuscript before submitting it. As we experienced that commonly students send their draft and their manuscripts without proofreading. So they think that the supervisors will be the editor or the proofreader of their manuscript. So we suggest that when they send their manuscripts, meaning that it's already proofread, and it's already the good draft that they send to the supervisor. Then internally, students have to do self-evaluation, that is by building better communication with the supervisors. Because we know that head-to-head communication with the supervisors, if they have problems, then it can be resolved, I think. And then making sure that they have good quality and relevant references. Make sure that their draft is readable with regard to the contents, arguments and language appropriateness and accuracy. And then revising the draft very carefully based on the session, checking direct and indirect citations, and ensuring that they summarize and paraphrase ideas correctly. Then keeping on working hard, not blaming others. Yeah, and then these are the tips that students may work on in order to be able to finish their study or the writing of that thesis as soon as possible, as expected. Yeah. So these are my supervisors. As you know that I have here, I list 5 students here. Students of 2015 academic year, and both of students here already did proposal seminar. And then the problem is that for the student one here, that is the title, the development of my set induction skill through video self-reflection or self-reflective research. The problem of the student here is that, after getting married, then my supervisor never contacted me, never sent the manuscript to me. And I'm trying to make contact with her, and I sent a message from WhatsApp. And then she told me that, ready, sir, I think I will soon send my research report. Yeah. So in this case, students have choices. Yeah. If they have, if for example, they have to prioritize the other activities, and then they also have to focus on their thesis. And then the second one here, another students with the same academic year, it is 2015 academic year. The title of her project here is the portrayal of male and female roles in English language textbook used in vocational high school. The problem with this student is that these students, in fact, taught English at school, yeah, and also in other English courses, yeah, so that she didn't prioritize the writing of their thesis. Therefore, up to now, the students in academic year of 2015 must be the last year, for completing their study. And also the student of academic year 2016, the 3 of students here also do not prioritize, give priority to the writing of that thesis. And about the quality of students' proposal draft, usually I'm trying to give feedback to students. If they have minor revision, it means that the draft is well organized and that smooth flow of ideas, few grammatical mistakes, and no problems with paraphrasing and summarizing, good quality references, and then appropriate citation and referencing. Then if students have a major revision, it means that the draft is poorly organized and then poorly flow of ideas, and then many grammatical mistakes. They have big problems with paraphrasing and summarizing, and then bad quality of references and inappropriate citation and referencing. Then when students need rewriting, this means that the draft is poorly written and almost in all aspects or not feasible to evaluate. To make our students feel happy, I think, in order to complete that thesis all year, then we plan to help students write their proposal, beginning from semester 6. That is what we plan in our department. In semester 6, students have to take 2 courses that prepare them to write their proposal. That is the undergraduate research proposal writing and undergraduate research preparation seminar. And we plan to divide these two courses into the four class. Yeah, and each class will be taught by each research group, because in my department here has the 4 research groups, that is language teaching methodology, or short form of LATM, and then research group of curriculum and materials development, yeah, CURMADEV, yeah, and then teacher professional development, and then technology enhanced language learning. And then for undergraduate thesis preparation seminar, we're also trying to divide the classes into the 4 research group here. So the topics and the issues that students have to write as already identified by the 4 research group here. Yeah, and hopefully that when students complete this course, then at the end of semester 6, they are already prepared. Yeah, they already prepare for thesis proposal seminar. Then in semester 7, yeah, students have to do teaching practicum and social service program, and they also are able to do program undergraduate thesis. So if students are able to work, yeah, by good time management, and then at the end of semester 7, yeah, really students are capable of completing their thesis. And then in semester 8, students only take 1 course, that is undergraduate thesis, yeah, 6 credit hours. And yeah, if students are capable of doing a good job, doing a good consultation, yeah, with the supervisors, then at the end of semester 8, we expect that student can finish their study. Yeah, that is our plan. Yeah, our plan to help students to complete their thesis. Yeah. As I told you before that in semester 7, yeah, students did teaching practicum at school, and also doing social service program. So if students are capable of combining the activities of doing teaching practicum and writing the thesis, and then yeah, at the end of semester 7, yeah, they are capable of scheduling for proposal seminar. And then in semester 8, yeah, we expect that students take the data from the field, yeah, and then they are capable of schedule for thesis examination at the end of semester. However, the facts reveal that in our English departments, yeah, usually students write thesis longer than other departments. Yeah, that is the fact. Yeah, some of students could finish their thesis in semester 9 or semester 10. Yeah, and very few students were capable of completing their study at the end of semester 8. That is our big problems. Perhaps for undergraduate students, they still have problems with language, and also what is in research. Yeah, they must, it is kind of a complex skills. Yeah, students must be capable of applying the research methodology. Yeah, and then their thinking skills, and then the way to paraphrase, the way to summarize, and many other things that must be combined into one. So therefore, yeah, students have difficulties in completing the thesis, yeah, on time. It might be different from the other departments. I don't know whether what is in your departments, yeah, the other English departments, the students could finish or complete the thesis more quickly, yeah, compared with ours. Yeah, that is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention. And now we back to Bu Eka.
Yeah, Thank you very much, Pak Budi, for your presentation. And there are two questions for you, Pak. The first one comes from Pak Suprihadi UMK. Is there any instrument to measure academic emotion? Because sorry. Is there any instrument to measure the academic emotion? It will be interesting to know the relationship between academic emotion and academic achievement and the contribution of academic emotion to academic achievement. So is there any instrument to measure the academic emotion, the students' academic emotion?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the question, Bu Eka. I think the same question as addressed to Pak Willy, yeah. So how to measure the academic resilience, because the academic emotion is also the area of psychology, the area of psychology. Yeah, if we need to develop the academic emotion instrument, I think what we need to do is that we are trying to read the research report, or the articles already published in good journal articles, and then we can make adaptation or adjust the instruments to be used for our research. And this is if we would like to do quantitative research. However, if we would like to just do the qualitative research, and then we would like to know about the up and downs of students' academic emotions, then it might be a different thing that we can do, because in qualitative research we don't have to measure. We have to compare the instrument and also the achievement. But I recommend you to read more about psychology and research on psychology, in order to know about the academic emotion. My students also try to research on the academic emotion. Usually students want to describe only, to know their stories about online learning, for example, they experience at school, and then they are trying to describe what experiences students, junior high school students, and also senior high school students when they receive the online learning in that school. So that is what I recommend. I'm not a psychologist, Pak Supriyati. So I am also trying to learn about the academic emotion. You know that when Bu Eka gave me the topic about academic emotion and academic resilience. So what is that? But I'm trying to know more, and then I'm reading some articles. Then in fact, it is the areas of psychology. That is a challenge for us in order to know more about the academic emotion.
So you belong to the optimistic one.
Yes,
never say I can't.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
Pak Budi.
You're welcome. So yes, I never surrender. I never surrender. This means that I feel optimistic. And then I like to learn new things. Even though I have to struggle hard. That is what I'm trying to motivate myself. Thank you, Becca.
Yeah, so something that we can learn is that be optimistic no matter how old we are. So keep changing, keep improving ourselves. Is that Pak Budi?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Pak, for the questions. Now, the second question comes from Ika Alia. Pak Budi, how to maximize the use of online learning for the students who has learning ability?
Yeah.
How to maximize the use of online learning for those who have learning ability?
Yeah, who have learning ability. It means that
disabilities. It should be learning disability, is it? Who has learning ability? The question is, has learning ability?
Yeah, ability, I think. So, yeah, the question is related to students who are quick learners or better learners, I think. Yeah, better learners. Yeah. Certainly, we will have different treatments, I think, for slower learners and then average learners and also quick learners. Especially for quick learners, what we need to do is that, we need to give more assignments, I think, more activities related to what is the topics or the issues that we discuss in the classroom. And commonly, at the beginning of the semester through our course contract atau kontrak kuliah, usually we give some the standard assignments. I mean, students have to do 5 or 6 assignments within a semester, and then, however, when they want to know more about the topics, and then we still give additional exercises, additional assignments, but we have to give them a kind of guidance, a kind of references that they have to read. So the weaknesses when we are giving assignment to our students is that usually we let them to work on themselves. But the job of the English teachers here is to facilitate them, by giving more references and then more links and then the model of the assignments that they have to finish, and then they feel that it is not difficult for them to complete the assignments. Okay.
Yeah, so the most important thing I think is that the students have to know the clear instruction about the assignment so that they are not going to ask further questions, but then sometimes they feel afraid to ask the lecturers about the difficulties or something that they don't understand.
Yeah, I think so, Boyka. Yeah, you know well, I think.
I know you well, Pak.
Yeah.
I would like, Yeah, Budi, go on.
Okay. In particular for the online disease supervision, I know that my students, not all my students are quick learners, and some of them are average learners, and more of them also slow learners. And then I treated them differently, particularly for the slow learners. I'm sorry for my students if I give you the category of slow learners. This means that I have to give more attention. I give them more references. I give them more
guidance.
Guidance by sending them the model of introduction, for example, the model of literature review, and then the model of chapter 3 and many others. Then if students still cannot follow me, and then I'm still trying to guide them through easier procedure. For example, I have to make a kind of examples. For example, what you have to write in introduction, the first paragraph, the second, the third, and so on. So by doing so, then my students feel that they are not alone. I mean that they are guided, and because we pay attention to their difficulties, and also it reduces their negative academic emotion. That is the important one.
Yeah, sometimes we are in the middle of two different sides. For some students, for those who belong to the quick learners, then we are going to feel that you do it, you revise everything so fast. But then on the other side, when we are dealing with the not so quick learners, then what happens with you? When can I get your drawback? Because I think when it takes us a little bit longer to reread the revision, then it is quite possible that we are going to forget some comments that we gave to the students.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, now the third one, Pak, and I think that is the last question. I would like, it comes from Cha or Ka Chayada. I would like to know how you conducted your study. Which techniques do you use?
Okay. To conduct my study, yeah, you mean my research study? Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Most of our research or our studies relate to what is relate to text, yeah, relate to text. That is, I'm interested in what is researching English textbooks, yeah, and I take the focus on what is critical discourse analysis. Yeah, that is, and the issue that usually I was what is researching is about gender, and about what is the moral values, and then about what is cultural values. Yeah, so I like to work on what is a critical analysis of the English textbooks. Yeah. That is why, because in the curriculum, I believe that curriculum document is not only what is containing the materials that we have to teach to our students, but the hidden messages is that we also need what is to develop the students' character too. Yeah. Therefore, I usually focus on what is the hidden meanings or the hidden messages of the English textbook through critical what is discourse analysis. And for my last report on last paper, yeah, that is about the critical reflection on what is the student teachers while doing the teaching practicum program. Yeah. That is the voices of our students when the innovation that our students made while doing the teaching practicum program, and then I asked them what is to record what they were teaching, they were doing during the teaching practicum, and then I am trying to interview with them, and then I'm trying to report, to put their voices, and then it becomes the final paper that I published in the Asia paper. So I think I enjoy doing the practical matters, not more theoretical matters.
And that is why something that you showed us today, something that you share with us today is something practical. Something happens in the real life of our department.
Yes, right, Vika. So I always do from my experience, yeah. When I'm writing my dissertation, I also back to my experience. Because I enjoy writing, then I took the writing process approach for my dissertation. And then so I never start from the difficult one. I start from my life experiences, because it will give me a lot. And yes, I think I just add more information and then more detailed references in my work.
Yeah, and it seems to me that Jayada is very interested in your study, so that is why in our chat box, he or she said that, yeah, asking for your email, for your email address. So perhaps Pak Budi, later on you can answer or you can give him or her. So sorry, Ibu or Bapak Jayada, I don't know whether you are.
I'm here. I'm from Thailand.
Sorry. Yes.
So I'm teaching in the human science, in curriculum and instruction as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
so much. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thanks for your question, Bu Saya.
Yes. I'm willing to read more on your research, because right now I'm interested in doing online teaching and learning. Yeah.
Okay, I will send you through your email, I think, and you may contact me through
I'll leave my email
address.
Here. Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma'am Jayada. And finally, Bapak Ibu, we come to the end of the session. And something that we can say is that, especially for the students, for those who are here, class, or all of my students, all of our beloved students, please be independent learners, and please keep motivating yourselves, and don't blame others. So don't blame your lecturers, and on the other side, lecturers, please don't blame our students, because besides their academic affair, they also have something else beyond or out of their academic affairs. And I think that's all that we can say about from Pak Budi Setiono's presentation. And I think once again, Pak Budi, thank you very much for sharing something with us. And I think I'm going to give the floor back to our Master of Ceremony, Pak Rizky.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for Bu Eka. And also thank you so much for Professor Budi Setiono. Well, okay, so this is the token of appreciation for Professor Budi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give virtual big applause for Professor Budi.
Thank you very much, Pak Budi, for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, the last but not the least for this plenary session, there will be Dr. Mary Ann Heng from Singapore, and the plenary session will be accompanied by Mr. David. Mr. David.
Yes, Mr. Rizky, I can hear your voice. The
floor is yours.
Can you hear my voice okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Well, okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure for us to see you again in our international webinar series. And today, in our wonderful day, we have one of our outstanding speakers also from Singapore, and it's going to be Dr. Mary Ann Heng. Good afternoon, Dr. Mary.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be meeting you and to be interacting with you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the plenary speaker by Dr. Mary, please allow me to read the curriculum vitae of our third plenary speaker. Well, to tell you the truth, Dr. Mary has a very unique educational background because she achieved her bachelor degree in science in 1984, and then she proceeded her study to Bachelor of Science in 1985. After that, she achieved the postgraduate diploma in education, and then she furthered her study to Master of Education. And for the doctoral study, she also focused on education. And then she has also been working in diverse professional projects, such as the visiting fellow at the Institute of East Asian Education in Tokyo, Japan, from 2019 to 2024. And then Dr. Mary also has some outstanding experiences in leadership, such as being the Associate Dean of the Graduate Studies and Professional Learning at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University, from 2015 to 2021. In addition to the leadership and also professional experiences, she also achieved some academic honors and also awards, such as in 2017, she achieved the 25 years long service award awarded by the Nanyang Technological University, and also NIA Excellence in Teaching Commendation in different years, and that was in 1995, 1996, and also 2011. Also, Dr. Mary has been invited in diverse conferences, such as in 2019, she delivered a talk on why the future of schooling needs to invest in finding purpose. And then also another conferences which focus on education systems, also the emergence of finding purposes. It is obvious that our third plenary speaker has very extensive experiences and also expertise in education. And also she has published a number of papers, such as in 2020, She published a paper entitled Understanding Adolescent Purposes in the Context of High-Performance Schooling in Singapore. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Dr. Marianne. Doctor, time is yours.
Thank you, David. I shall start sharing the screen, and you let me know if you can see my slides. Right?
Yes, please do, Doctor. We have 60 minutes to cover the whole thing, including presentation and QA.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, it's quite clear on my screen.
Okay, and the size is fine, right?
Well, for me, it's getting better now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your kind introduction. The topic of my sharing today is finding purpose in the future of education. And this is based on my work on research on purpose, which I will try to persuade everyone that it's very, very important as we work towards building back better in education during this long and unprecedented period of the pandemic, right? And indeed, I was listening in Dr. Willie's session earlier today, and then I had to run off for a meeting. So I caught a little bit of Dr. Boody's session, but I shall make reference to a bit more of Dr. Willie's session. So in addition to HERO, which he shared with everyone, hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism, I'm trying to share with everyone the importance of a sense of purpose, both for teachers as well as for students and school leaders, because this will drive motivation for the long term. And with resilience, with hard work, schools can recover after the pandemic and even thrive. Okay, so you can see my slide here. Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world, right? Schooling, however, has been largely about transmitting knowledge, skills, and values so that people can be good workers for society. And that's important. So in my talk, I will give you a bit of the big picture, but I will also introduce this idea of mirrors and windows in finding purpose in our teaching as English language teachers. I came across, as I was preparing for the talk, I came across the Green School Bali. It's part of a larger international network, and it was highly impressive because when I was reading and visiting the site, and I would urge you to check this out if you've not visited this school before. The mission of the school is learning with a purpose to nurture young change makers, right? And right at the top of the screen, you can see that the purpose of my talk is actually to light the fire, right? To light the fire in our teachers, in our students, so that they can be change makers while you are teaching them English. So yes, knowledge is important. Our brain is like the pail, all right? It's important to know about grammar, about correct pronunciation. I'm not an English language teacher per se. As David mentioned, I was formerly a science teacher many years ago, but I do work with teachers at NIE from different subject areas, including English. You can hear me loud and clear, right, everyone? Yeah, that's good. So these are young change makers. And if you look at the photo in the center, it is Indonesian and Dutch students at a TED Talk, right? So the Green School Bali has a number of projects that students engage in, and through their projects, they learn English, math, science, etc. Right? So I would, in fact, encourage us to begin to think along those lines. And I'm thinking that we can make English language teaching mightily interesting, because we can weave in some of the time, I'm not saying for the whole year, some of the time we may be able to think of getting students engaged in projects whereby they will learn a lot of skills and knowledge, but they will also learn the use of English in a very natural way, right? So this sounds like a very exciting school. In fact, I do want to visit this school in Bali and find out more. And in fact, I would invite the organizers of this webinar to maybe even write to the Green School Bali to ask them to share what they do there. And if you do that, please invite Dr. Willie and myself from Singapore, because we'll be keen to join you to find out more. All right, I will continue a little bit more. And here it says that school interrupted, right? That the COVID has affected students around the world. And sorry, I'm just toggling my screen. It's a little bit blocking, but you can see, right? It's clear that, okay, that students in rural India, all right, it was, you know, very distressing to find out that, you know, and you would find that it's understandable. Students in rural India have to go and find hotspots for Wi-Fi to get connected to the internet for their learning, right? The 3 bars to check out their learning. Students under the umbrella in the hot sun. So this is the reality of where we are now. In fact, I think almost 1.5 years, we're all in this pandemic together. So what can we do? Just a minute, now my screen kind of froze. Okay. How can we build back better for post-pandemic education in Indonesia and also in the rest of the world? And in fact, your education minister, he said that there is not enough conversations going on to talk about the education crisis in Indonesia and in other parts of the world. And we should do that. Okay, we should talk about what we can do together. English language teachers and teachers in other subject areas. Okay. And in fact, I want to share with you this very important insight from a professor at Stanford University. Worldwide, including Singapore, Indonesia, and everywhere, we talk a lot about stress and how we can manage stress, and hence the theme of this webinar on resilience, right? But this professor at Stanford University, whom I met many years ago when I was on a sabbatical there, and I visited Stanford University, and that sparked my interest in this idea of purpose, which I will say a little bit more later. He says that the biggest problem growing up today is actually not stress. It's actually the lack of purpose or meaninglessness. Children come to school, they learn knowledge, they learn about grammar, but they don't find it interesting. They don't find that it's connected to what's going on in their real life. And so how can we make that connection to make learning in school more meaningful and purposeful, right? So that's my sharing today. So we go back to right at the beginning. And so this is the big picture before I share some of the details and some examples of what we can do as English language teachers. That children go to school, certainly is to get a better job, but in reality, many of our youth don't really have a goal in life. They want to get a good job, but they're not quite sure what else beyond that, all right? And in Singapore in particular, even though this information is 2019, but it continues to be true, it's very sad that young people take their lives because largely of a sense of meaninglessness, right? And so these are children from good schools, from schools that are struggling, but there is a growing number among the young people. Okay, this is one of the quotations from my colleagues at NIE, that we all know that it's important, and for a long time, parents have instilled in us the importance of going to school, working hard to get a good job, and you'll be successful in life. And that still is the case, and that's important. But if that's the only focus of school, these colleagues, Ding and Gopinathan, say that it's just one purpose of school. Yes, to get a good job, to do well in life, that's important, all right? But there's more to school than just doing well in exams, okay? Because we don't want students, their worth, their self-worth tied to just doing well in exams. We want them to be able to develop in other ways as well, all right? And hence I mentioned about the Green School in Bali as one example at the start of my sharing, as an example of how students can learn and acquire knowledge in school, but also become inspired to be change agents. And it all starts with why, all right? So, and I would like to encourage you to check out Simon Sinek. He has a number of clips on TED Talk, etc. I know earlier Dr. Willie has shared about the Angela Duckworth on grit. This is another famous person who works with educational leaders. Right? He's not a professor, but he works with educational leaders, and his book is hugely popular. So we want not just leaders to take action, we want students to be able to take action. But he says it starts with something very simple, and yet we don't do it enough, which is to ask the question, why? Okay. And here I have a photo, a diagram of his very famous golden circle, right? This golden circle is right at the center. You see its why. Going out are the how and what questions. What and how are things that we normally ask. We, as teachers, we normally are concerned with how to do something, what do we need to teach, and so on and so forth. And usually we're very busy with those kinds of questions. How do we teach grammar? What do we teach so that the students are interested, so that the students are doing well in exams and so on? We seldom ask the why question, okay? But in the golden circle, Simon Sinek says it's important to start with the why question, because that is what makes great organizations like Apple, like Google. And so learning from education leaders in schools and in education universities, we should also ask the why question. And I like to start by asking everyone to imagine you have a mirror in front of yourself. The mirror is for you to look at yourself, to find your purpose. Because if you don't know yourself, it's very difficult for you to be passionate and to be excited as an English language teacher. So it starts with yourself, okay? What do you value as an English language teacher? What is your personal purpose? Why am I preparing to be an English language teacher? Yes, I know mostly the answer would be to get a good job, it's a good salary, and I'm happy teaching English, okay? But how will I prepare my students, to teach, to succeed in life and to have a life of meaning and purpose? How will I do that when I know that my students, when they graduate, the world will be very different in 10 to 20 years from now, okay? I'm a little bit clumsy with my slide sharing here. Wait just a minute. Huh? I can't seem to bring it down now. Oops, just a minute. It's a little bit stuck. Sorry, pardon me. I got a little bit stuck trying to, not sure why my slide is stuck. Huh? Okay, I think I got it back now. Sorry, everyone. I was toggling, and then you can see that I need a little bit more practice in this thing. Wait, let me stop sharing, and I'll share again. Okay.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is going to be difficult for us to share our screen. So it will be okay not for you not to share the slide, not to make it in slideshow.
Sure. Yeah, this one is
okay.
okay.
I see.
Yeah, this one is okay.
Okay, this one is okay, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because slideshow we get it stuck, is that?
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Very often. Yep.
Oh,
Often
okay.
to everyone.
Okay, okay. Because I was just trying to make it bigger and hoping that you can see the thing. So, but I'll try slideshow again, and if it gets stuck, I will stop that. Thank you for that tip. Okay, so we're here. Oh,
Yes.
you're right. Yeah. Oh, I can see what you're trying to say then. Okay. So as English teacher, I would want you to think about what brings you greatest joy and a sense of purpose in English teaching. What makes you excited? You may say, oh, I'm excited getting people to learn to communicate, that they can speak fluently, they can read stories, they can get inspired. That's really great. But I would like you to take a little bit of time to think about this, okay? So the next one. The chances are, however, the reality is that many people feel like this, okay? That it's like a rat race. We have got our university program to take. We have to work hard. We have to earn money. We have to do this and we do that. And this is the reality, even as we talk about purpose, right? But I want us to think about this again, that the students who attend our English language program, the students who attend our English language classes in school, by the time they graduate and they themselves finish their schooling with us, the World Economic Forum says about 65% of children who enter primary school today, they will hold jobs that currently do not exist. Right? So if we teach them the nuts and bolts of English, that's fine. They will still be using a lot of the knowledge that they will be learning. But at the same time, some of the technicalities of what they learn, much of it they may not use because the world is changing so much in terms of disruption and in technology. And so what is it that we need to focus on in our time in school with the children? In fact, our children are aware of this. Many are angry because they know that, they read about and they experience the effects of climate change, for example, and they feel impatient with adults who seem to be a bit slow in dealing with climate issues, right? So our children are actually aware of what's going on because the world is their oyster now with Google, with the internet, the social media. There's a lot of information that they are learning, not in the classrooms, but from the internet. So in fact, they can learn English from the internet as well. So as a teacher, we need to think hard how we can facilitate students' learning when there's a lot of learning that students can actually do on their own. Okay, so I'd like to share the next one, which is from a mirror, which I asked you to think about your own personal purpose as an English language teacher, because that will be important for the long run in helping you be resilient when you encounter challenges in your career, in your studies. But I now want to introduce another idea, which is the idea of windows to see the world. What kind of window or lens do we have to see the world? It is the same as Dr. Willie's example just now. Do we see the glass half empty or half full? Do we have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? What kind of lens do we have? Do we have a lens where we see the world as half empty and we complain about the challenges of the very long pandemic and that it's very difficult to teach? Or do we try to have a lens of looking at the world half full, that even that the pandemic is very long, but there are possibilities in what we can do, okay? And so here are some examples that, is it possible to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, despite the challenges that we have now? There are many things that continue to be blessings in our life. The fact that I have this webinar, I don't have to travel all the way to Indonesia to see you, even though I would like to do so, but I can reach out to a larger group of educators. And I understand that educators from Thailand and Argentina, and I'm very happy that you're with us in this webinar. Is there more than one right answer? How can you reframe so that there can be opportunities from competition and anxiety to possibilities? Okay. So I'd like us to think about this question again, that many of the children who attend our schools and our classrooms, they will not be holding the jobs that we are preparing them for. Some of our other colleagues teach science, mathematics, and so on. But when the children finish school, they'll be doing other things. And I would say that's actually more important to teach children to decide what is of value and why. Okay? Because schooling is about preparing children to be independent. That the purpose of education is not to look at the crystal ball, to try to predict the future, because it is very hard to predict the future. No one can predict that we will be all in a state of the pandemic for the last 1.5 years, that the whole world is in a state of paralysis. No one can predict that one day people may not need to drive cars anymore, that we will have driverless cars. What will endure is that we teach our children to be independent, to be successful, useful, to ask questions that society values. The bit about ethical is important, okay? And so my talk is about a sense of purpose, because this will help us with having resilience, whether we are teachers in school or we're working with students in school. They will have a greater sense of resilience. When the going gets tough, they will be able to continue because they have a larger purpose in terms of what they see they want to do. Perhaps they want to be running a business one day, or a non-governmental organization that focuses on zero waste or something to do with climate change, as the students in the Green School in Bali are doing, okay? I would like to show you this picture of two mountains. It's actually Mount Fuji in Japan. And I got this from a very famous New York columnist, David Brooks, who wrote a book called The Second Mountain. And I'd like to briefly explain what this is about. Many of us, myself included, we spend much of our lives on the first mountain. We work hard to complete our university programs so that we can be independent, we can have a good career. And that's a good thing, because at the end of the day, we do need to survive. We do need to we work towards being successful in our career. But David Brooks says that we also need to be thinking increasingly about the second mountain, that the pandemic has actually shown us that we are actually dependent on each other. We are not alone. No one in the world is safe until we are all safe from the virus, right? So we can have all the vaccines and that keeps us safe in Indonesia, but Indonesia or Singapore cannot be safe until everyone else in other countries are safe. So the second mountain talks about interdependence, and it talks about meaning and purpose in terms of our life journeys. So not just academic success, but what it means to be a human being, all right, for the long term. And so that's what I want to explain a little bit more. So we go back to the why question. What do we value in English language teaching? How can we develop our students so that they don't only learn about grammar, about communication, but they develop to be whole human beings, the part about the human purpose of education. They can be change agents for society as well, okay? And I would like to say that we don't have to do or go on this journey alone. We don't need, as teachers, and as teachers, we don't have all the answers. We can actually invite our students to join us as partners in change, in how they would like to learn, because our students have wonderful ideas as well for what they would like to learn in the classroom and how they think they can learn English and contribute to change in society as well as change agents. And in fact, some time ago, an overseas expert said when they were looking at Singapore's education system, the recommendation was that in Singapore, we take a closer look at how students learn. And so I'm recommending that in Indonesia, in your English language classrooms, we do the same. Take a closer look at how students learn, because teaching and learning are two sides of the same coin. If the students have not learned, we can't say that we have taught, all right? So students can tell us many, many interesting things, and I've done quite a lot of work in this. But I'd like to share a little bit about what purpose is and say a little bit more. So this work is from William Damon and his book, The Path to Purpose, okay? And purpose is actually a long-term goal, okay? It's not a term goal, like I want to finish my English language course in the program in the university. I want my students to get good grades. I mean, that is fine. That's a short-term goal. Purpose is more long-term, okay? It is also not only personally meaningful, but it's something that it's not just about me, but it's about the larger society. It's about other people. And the researchers have found that it's quite stable, you know, and meaning to say, if somebody wants to be a big change agent to set up a company to address climate change issues, starting with Indonesia, in Jakarta, what can they do? And a student has such a big dream and is actively talking about this in school. It's not just a dream. That actually is a long-term, it's stable, and I'm quite sure one day the student will fulfill that long-term goal, all right? So it's not just an empty dream. This is what the authors say, all right? Okay, I have to resort to this because I know that my clicker is not working. So, and that most children actually can find their purpose. Actually, that's what the researchers say. It's not some high-level abstract thing that when you talk to children, they can actually say something about this and talk about this. And I share a little bit of my research project. Okay, so I have done some research over the past almost 10 years. And in fact, I did a piece of work, 2 projects with Israel. And we picked Israel because, they are a little bit different from Singapore, even though both countries value education. But in Israel, we often look at Israel as a very creative nation. They have the highest number of startups. Okay, so this is a chart that shows you Singapore, which is the one in bold bar chart, and Israel is the other one. You can see there are different purpose groups. Okay, no orientation to, I'm not sure if this is blocking you, to self and other focused. That means some students, when you ask them about what is your long-term goal in life, they will say, I don't know what you're talking about. I cannot cope with my school. I don't know what you're talking about. And if you can see the leftmost chart, Israel doesn't have any adolescents in that category. It's empty. In fact, they had probably 3 students, but the number was so small we couldn't analyze. But Singapore had quite a number, 18%. They said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just too focused on my studies and that's all I want to do, which we understand. But there are also some children who say, yes, my mother is a dancer. I really want to continue to be a dancer because I want to raise money in future so that I can contribute to countries in the world who are in need money, and my dance can continue to raise money. Okay, so there are students who can tell us that. So we found it surprising that although students in Singapore were doing, at least by and large, they score high in those international tests like PISA or TIMSS that you may have heard of. But in terms of school and life satisfaction, they were significantly lower than the Israel students. Okay, not surprising, but at the same time, the data showed that, right? And that Singapore students, 18%, did not think about what they want to do later in life. And that's not unusual as well, because studies in other parts of the world, like in the United States, also show that it's understandable. Students are busy with school, they only can focus on school. But it was interesting to note that in Israel, the students seem to have significantly higher school and life satisfaction than in Singapore. And we think that it's because in Israel, they have a lot of second chances. Even if you don't do well in school, they can take tests and they have other pathways in the military, etc., etc. And so the heavy focus on tests and exams in school meant that it seemed to be students who are more satisfied with school. Okay, this is one quote by a student in a Singapore school. She is a Pakistani student, and she's from my research project to show you an example of a student who seems to have a sense of purpose in terms of what she wants to do in life. We didn't know there was a student in our Singapore school in Pakistan who actually witnessed a robbery and actually a daylight robbery and actually a murder. And her parents moved to Singapore so that she could continue her education there. But she says, and I read from this quote, Malala is the youngest Nobel Prize laureate. She didn't have much, but she still spoke up for her rights. That's part of the reason why I want to do law next time. I can help women in Pakistan. My early years in Pakistan made me see the other side of the world. So when we were talking to her as part of our research, it was a one-on-one chat. It was quite a long session, almost an hour, but it was such a deeply traumatic and personal story that I began to think that, what if I were her teacher in school? Would I continue to teach English or social studies or science the way I would normally teach? Or would I do something different and ask her to talk to me and her friends about her experiences and use that student contributions to modify what I would do when I teach her English or social studies? Meaning to say, there are so many different students in our classrooms, and there are ways in which we can make our lessons more meaningful to them, right? So what does this all mean? Okay, and so I have just a few more slides, and I will then begin to share some more practical examples. So my focus is on purpose as a long-term goal. I introduced mirrors to find our own personal purpose, mirrors for our students to begin to talk about what's interesting to them, what are they interested in, where do they see themselves. It's not so much about what kind of career they want to do. It's more than that, okay? So I would say what I would suggest for educators and people to teach with and for purpose. Number one, know your students and take students' learning seriously. That if we just come to the class and teach from the curriculum because the Ministry of Education has planned such a great curriculum, yes, I would say we're a good teacher. But I would say don't stop there. Take a bit of time to know your students through the questions we ask. Maybe there's some group work that we can do that can help us know our students a little bit more. Because if we don't try to ask our students about their experiences of learning, they will not try to engage with the teachers. They will teach, they will just come to school and learn. But much of the time, I think the learning may not be as deep as it can be. Certainly, being change activists needs knowing your students learn seriously. Okay, I give you some examples. Take the time to listen. Okay, and why do I say this? If we don't take the time and listen, and we think as teachers we know all the answers, we may be missing a lot of things. Just like the Pakistani student I shared with you. If we didn't talk to her, we may not be aware that she has very different experiences from students in Singapore, and that we need to think about her experiences when we plan for English language teaching in the Singapore classroom. This quote on my slide is from a medical doctor in Singapore.
Excuse me, doctor?
Yes.
I'm afraid the slide is stuck. At the moment, we are looking at the bar showing data related to Israel and Singapore. Is it the one that you are showing?
No.
Okay.
But thank you for telling me, because my slide is just a minute. Yeah, somehow my slide was not showing that. Okay, this is back. Is this okay? Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
okay.
good. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll just keep to this mode then. So the doctor in Singapore said this, that don't just try to treat patients by running many tests. Take a bit of time to listen to your patients, because the diseases these days are very, very complex, and that sometimes if you make patients do many tests, you may miss the real diagnosis. All right. Not only that, it's expensive. So it's the same for teachers, and I share with my teachers in Singapore. If you think the student has not learned what you taught in the English language classroom, and then you try to give some more worksheets or remedial worksheets, sometimes it may not be helpful, because if you didn't take a bit of time to talk to the student to find out what really is the problem, you may be missing out on where the real challenge is. You think you know, but actually you may be missing out on what the real problem is. Okay, and so extra worksheets without really understanding what students' learning problems are may be not useful. Okay, this was what one of my teachers said, and I hope you see the quote. Right, so this was a teacher in my classroom at NIE. She was attending a master's course, and I made her do a little bit of field work. So I actually encourage my teachers to do a little bit of field work, meaning I asked them to talk to their own students in school, prepare some piece of work, and then just ask some questions, and then to reflect on what they found. So she was teaching a child with dyslexia. All right. As you know, a child with dyslexia has a lot of problems with language. And she used to spend a lot of time correcting the students' homework, putting punctuation marks, comma, full stop, all in red, correcting, and so on and so forth. But she was very frustrated because after she spent so much time correcting the mistakes, the students continued making the same mistakes. So she didn't know what to do. So after she attended my class, or rather during she attended my class, she spoke to the student and she found out more. And this was her reflection that was very insightful to me, which I'm sharing with you. And I'll read out as well. She said, I came away realizing that actually no child comes to school trying to make the teacher angry, really, as in purposely come to school to make you angry and really give you the wrong answer because they want they don't like you. Nobody does that. That if somebody continues to make the same mistake, it's because they actually the student actually thinks the answer is correct. Okay, but they don't understand that behind every wrong answer, there's some form of logic. To the child is correct, but they can't understand why it's not correct. And so she realized it was useless if she continued correcting. I know Dr. Willie talked about not overcorrecting. So maybe this teacher I don't think this teacher was overcorrecting. She was just doing her job. She was trying to correct the students' English writing, but she was so frustrated because the child had dyslexia and so on and so forth. So anyhow, later on in the class, we discussed, and she decided that she would use the laptop to help the child with the English language writing. So the word software has the spell check function and grammar check function. And she found that that was very helpful for the child, so that the child would be automatically prompted whenever he or she got the wrong answer, all right, without finding other ways that would get the child to enjoy writing, but not be overly corrected because the teacher did the correction. Okay. Plan for high quality curriculum that's purposeful and meaningful to the students. So we talk about child-centered, not just curriculum-centered, but one scholar even talked about world-centered. Wow, what does that mean? It sounds like a very big thing. How to be world-centered? I mean, the third point is how to have the curriculum and school experiences as an internal compass. What's an internal compass? Can that be such a powerful, a compass, as you know, tells us the direction. Can you imagine if the school English language curriculum is like the compass and it gives us a direction for what we want to do in the future for the students? A student is so excited about your English language classroom that in future they want to be an English language teacher so that they can make a difference and learn about the English language and Indonesian culture and communicate the Indonesian culture with the rest of the world using English. How inspiring and exciting that would be, that the student is not just wanting to be an English language teacher because the student was inspired by your English language classes, but wanted to bring the Indonesian culture to the whole world using English language. We actually had such a student when we talked to the student in our project. For that, it was a Chinese language culture that the student wanted to bring to the world, because the student was so inspired by a Chinese language teacher, so that wanted to be a Chinese language teacher in the future and use Chinese language as a direction for why people should know about the Chinese culture, how rich it was. And we could see a difference when we spoke to the student. We spoke to one student in a project 1 year apart. That means the first time we spoke to the student shared with us some things. But 1 year later, we had the same student so excitedly talking about the Chinese language, and we realized it was a teacher that made a difference, that inspired the student to want to be a Chinese language teacher, to bring the Chinese culture to the rest of the world. So I'm saying here that English language teachers in our audience, you can work magic, all right? You can bring the Indonesian culture, the thinking to the rest of the world through English language. Here is a slide in terms of the Green Projects Hub done by the Green School in Bali. So you can see, you can go and visit their website. And I'm suggesting that some of the time, okay, obviously students need to come to the classroom, they need to learn grammar and so on and so forth. But some of the time, maybe it can be a project done in one school semester or even in 1 year. You can get groups of students coming together instead of talking about fear and anxiety and about the floodings and the burning of forests and all the terrible things. How can we change that to a climate of hope? So there's pollution, okay, how can students become activists and work towards zero waste? So I'm suggesting that perhaps through the use of projects, meaningful projects that are helpful to real world problems, they can learn English language in a very, very meaningful way. All right, so that's something to perhaps explore and think about, okay? And so this is a slide that says that how can we focus not just on learning English language to pass the tests and exams, but to becoming a more whole human being, the finding purpose. So on the left-hand side is what we will do when we are very, very good teachers of the English language. We will teach for mastery of spoken and written English. We will get our students to practice and present their work in class so they can communicate, show what they have learned, read stories, engage with text, all right? And students have a great sense of well-being and self-worth and self-efficacy in your classroom. They will flourish as a student in your English language classroom. But I would like to encourage you to look at what's on the right side of the screen to create whole human beings as well. How can students learn to collaborate, to talk about their ideas, to get other people excited about what they're interested in, what they're good at? Maybe their parents are farmers and there are something exciting to share with their classmates through English in the classroom. Through real-world engagement, like the green projects I shared with you in the Green School in Bali, and I encourage you to find out a bit more. And I'm sure there are many other such initiatives in Indonesia and in other parts of the world. How can students flourish, not only for themselves, but contribute to flourishing of others in the world? Wow, that's really a big idea. So it's not just about myself doing well in school, but I bring others along with me as well and get other people excited. Here are some examples, all right? I teach a master's class at the moment. some in the audience may be excited to know. It's a very small class. It's a full-time program. Mostly they are Singaporeans, master's student, but I do have one student from Chile in South America. I do have one student from Indonesia, from India rather, and I have two students from China. All right, so it's quite an interesting group. And the first entry, children's literature, comes from my student from Chile, and they just helped me with this yesterday because I wanted this to be a sharing, not just from me, but from my students in my class as well, from educators to educators, all right? So on the left side, you see that the focus is on academic qualifications. As every good teacher, we focus on what students need to know and do. We come to the class prepared to teach what we have to teach as English language teachers. We will ask the question when, as teachers, we will read to students in our classroom, students, what is the story about? How do you feel? And that's a good teacher because these are the questions we will ask. I'm encouraging you to think about the mirror, okay? To get students to develop themselves, to form themselves, to connect with the story a bit more. So you may prepare your lesson, you read a story to your students, and you start with asking what is the story about. But don't stop there. Ask them, what does the story mean to me? Have you ever experienced something like the characters in the story? Do you see yourself in the story? So they are beginning to connect the story to their own personal experiences, which can be very different because they can come, as you say, from the city or from the suburban suburbs or from a very small, in a rural setting. Encourage them to move even further to the third column, to the window part. So not just use a mirror to think about themselves and how they are feeling, but a window to see the world. Who are my students striving to be? What does this story inspire you to do in future? All right, so that's one example as a window to see the world. The second example is on social emotional learning. It could easily be an example on resilience. It could be yourself doing learning about resilience or social emotional learning, and you teach this to your other teachers in a school setting, and you ask, what is social emotional learning about? What do you understand about resilience? And that's what a good teacher would do. But I will encourage you not to stop there, to ask your colleagues. So this is a different setting because, or it could be for your students in the school, they learn about social emotional learning, relationships, how to relate to their friends. You can ask them, what does social emotional learning mean to me? And different students may have different ideas about social emotional learning. One, it could be, I need to be nice to my friends. But the other could be, I need to reach out to my friends. I need to be able to empathize to my friends. It's not just about being nice. Sometimes my friend is not doing something right. I need to politely point that out. So it could be a deeper understanding of social emotional learning. And in the larger school setting, it would be good to talk about, as a window, what does it mean to your other colleagues in the school? You can be talking about social emotional learning or resilience, but you can have your school leader or principal or another colleague in the school having a very different idea about social emotional learning, and it's worth having the conversations, all right? This is, I think, my second last slide or so. And here is a different setting. So it's contributed all by my students. So an example for the English language classroom, example on teacher professional development. Actually, I spoke about this just now. So your theme for your webinar is resilience. So what is resilience about? We can talk about it. Dr. Willie, Dr. Budi, even though I caught a bit of his session, I think they have developed all these ideas very, very well. But I would encourage you to think about individually and with your fellow teachers and also students and school principal. What does resilience look like to me? there could be similar ideas, but there could be different ideas. So you hold a mirror and you think, what does it mean to me? But what does it also look like to my students? So this is holding a window, having different lenses. Different people may see the world differently, and it's important for us to talk about it. Okay, so basically it's about really not about predicting the future, but encouraging our students through their time in our classrooms to be a larger blessing to others, to ask the questions, to get excited about their school life, and to be change activists, and as part of their school learning, not just focusing on passing tests and exams, but to be actually a change agent. And we have plenty of examples on the internet. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a long sharing because I felt that there was many things I wanted to share with you, but I'm happy to take a few questions.
Well, okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mary, for such a wonderful presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the noise because at the moment is calling for prayer at the moment. Yes, we would like to remind you that all audiences are invited to write the questions in the chat box, or you can also speak directly through the microphone.
I saw a chat there. I asked my students to put themselves in the shoes of the characters. Then I asked them on the moral of the story. And that's excellent. I think that's an excellent way to get students to connect with what they're learning in the school and in your classroom. But I also would encourage you not to stop there, to bring the newspapers to the classroom, to talk about the real world experiences that's happening, and get them to talk about and brainstorm, what would you do? If you were the character in the story, what would you do, etc., etc. So find opportunities to connect what they learn in the classroom with what's happening in Jakarta, in society, in Indonesia, in Singapore, in the larger world.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. I do believe that by linking what students learn in the class and what they have encountered in their daily life, it's going to make the education much more meaningful and also authentic to their needs, rather than being theoretical all the time with the students. And from my experience, I guess students do not like listening to theorizations and concepts all the time right from the beginning of the class. They like to move around and have some fun learning with their partners or their peers, which is what we're trying to do. But again, sometimes challenges pop up in the classroom, which is quite common in not only Indonesia but also in many parts of the globe.
Are there other questions? I could. What is the?
Yes, we have one question from Ami Shamsia. It's what is the effective way to kill student shyness or to address student shyness to speak, and also sharing their experience?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's an important question, and I think I would advise be natural and comfortable about it. Students need to feel safe in the classroom, psychologically safe, that they won't be embarrassed by the teacher. There's no such thing as a stupid contribution. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And I think the best way to involve everybody, including the very, very shy ones, is to get them to basically talk about what has excited you. Did something happen yesterday or last week that made you very sad or that made you very excited? Would you like to share with us? I sometimes start class that way as an icebreaker, but also to find out what my students are thinking that I can then weave into the class. So I think be patient with shy students. Sometimes they may not say anything for many lessons, but I think when they know that the teacher is sincere, and I think one good way also would be to try to talk to the student separately, one-on-one, so that they can feel comfortable with what you're trying to do. So I would say gradually to encourage the student. Yeah. So in a class setting, it's understandable. The student may feel embarrassed or uncomfortable to speak up, but try to draw students into the classroom. But one-on-one after class or outside of class, in this case outside of Zoom, you can have a nice chat with the student and try to understand a little bit more, which is what I said earlier. Try to know your students better. And I think when they know that you're sincere, that you're a very kind teacher and you mean well, they will slowly share. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have some more questions from the audience?
May I?
Yes, I think I'm quite familiar with the voice.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anne. How should I call you, Anne?
Yes, Mary Ann. Yes, in one name, in 2 words.
Yes. Something that perhaps it also becomes, or is that the heaviest thing for the teachers and also lecturers to improve the students' motivation, not only in making them or in trying to make them to speak, but also in trying to make them finish every assignment. And also, when we went back to Pak Budi's explanation, we have to try to do our best to motivate our students to finish doing their scriptsy or thesis in this case. So perhaps, do you have any practical information about how or what we should do to motivate our students in doing everything that they have to do?
So you're talking about school assignments, right? Students' homework that they don't finish. Is that what you're trying to say? Or in-class work?
Yes.
Right. I separately, I do teach classes at NIE, both for in-service teachers and at a master's level, a class called Differentiated Instruction. Actually, you can Google that and find out a little bit more. It's a whole big area. It's called Differentiated Instruction. But very simply, I would say, I go back to the first suggestion again, which is to know the students, to talk to the students. So if they, as a whole class, they have difficulty finishing, I would want to know why. Okay, was it unreasonable, the time that I gave them? Was it because they were getting a lot of homework from everyone else? Was it because there were too many questions? And I would want to find out why. But if it's 1 or 2 students, I would also try to speak to them privately and gently find out what the problem is. Okay. The other suggestion I would say is to give students choice, because that's part of a sort of understanding that our students are not all the same in the classroom. Yes, some assignments we may need everyone to finish, all right? But if they are not too many, because I've also seen teachers give too many assignments and too many questions. And some students have actually learned the material much faster than others, and they don't need so many questions. So in a worksheet, you could say if there are 10 questions or there's a writing assignment, you can give them some choice. You can give them what you have suggested, but they are also welcome to suggest to you what they would like to write on. If there are technical questions in English that you want them to work on, let's say you have 10 questions they need to complete, maybe you can say the first 5 is compulsory, but questions 6 to 10 is up to you. If you think you don't need to do that because you've learned the material, you don't need to do those questions. But some of you who need a bit more practice, it'd be good if you can complete the questions. So there's choice. There's also finding a little bit more about why they have difficulty completing the worksheets. Yeah, I mean, basically, I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because nowadays during the online learning, so many lecturers give the students so many assignments. So from one lecturer, they are going to have one assignment, 1 or 2 assignments, but then from the other lecturers, they are going to have another 2 or 3 assignments, so that sometimes they get frustrated in finishing every assignment that they have to do.
Right. And of course, there are various ways, and I see some other suggestions, various ways to get students to talk in class or complete the assignments. But I saw one question that I thought, Nani, it was interesting that, we on the chat, in remote areas, many students are trying to fulfill basic needs. They walk far away to get to school and to get internet access and so on. How can we invite the students to think about bigger purpose when engaging in learning activities? I think it's an excellent question. Yeah. In the Zoom function, when you work with the students, there are opportunities for breakout rooms, okay, for small group work, maybe for even blogs and so on and so forth. I think we can always start with asking students or inviting students to share their dream of what they would like to do and be in the future. And then weave that into part of the lesson. I think anyone, as Dr. Willie says, everyone, I'm sure, has a dream, all right? And from the remotest village, I think we should encourage our students to talk about that dream. I once visited a very rural setting in Sabah, East Malaysia, where indeed students had to walk for some 2 or more hours to reach school through the jungle. All right, and it was the first time I was visited a small community in the rural setting. But every child has a dream. So I met a young student at that time, and later I learned that she became a teacher so that she can give back to her rural community. All right. So, and she felt that she was the best person to contribute and to understand the students in her rural community. So she became a teacher and enrolled in the teaching program in the university, and later went back to her rural community to work with her small community, and in that way paid it forward. So I think that there are ways. It starts by inviting students to share their story. I think everybody has a very interesting story to tell, right? And I would start with that. I would start with that. Purpose sounds like a big thing, but it all starts with the human story, and everybody has a story to tell, and we can find ways and means to invite students to tell their story and to encourage that. And that stories can be written up as well to share with their friends. So that is student-made stories that can be written material that can be shared with the class so that they get inspired as well when they hear each other's stories. Okay, so one dream, one lighting the fire can light, one small candle can light the, another person's candle, and that small candle can be a light in the dark, and very soon everybody's candles are lit up. So it's very, very powerful. A dream that's encouraged is very powerful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mary. I think that's going to be a very wonderful closing remark for the wonderful presentation by Dr. Marianne. And we would like to thank every audience who have taken the time to join our webinar today. And also thank you for the questions and also such a wonderful sharing of your teaching and also working experience with every one of us. And ladies and gentlemen, before we end up the sessions, please allow us to read the concluding remarks. So based on what has been presented by Dr. Mary, it's always important for every teacher to embrace students' visions and also believe in every single aspect of learning activities, ranging from lesson planning, teaching, and also assessment. By doing that, we can create one meaningful education that can embrace every single student in many parts of the globe to address real-life issues in their very distinctive context. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to give a round of applause to Dr. Mary. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, we would like to present you one small token of appreciation, Doctor. Please wait. Okay, here we go, Dr. Mary. It's been a real pleasure to have you sharing your experience and expertise with every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, okay, then I think I will pass the floor back to the master ceremony. Mr. Rizky, time is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Dave. And also thank you so much for Dr. Marianne. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our webinar today. And thank you so much for the 3 invited speakers, Dr.